Ladies and gentlemen, Flight F0192 is about to close its cabin doors. This is the final boarding call. Please immediately gather all your carry-on belongings and proceed to Gate B21 for boarding. Repeat, this is the final boarding for Flight F0192. Please board as soon as possible. Thank you. In the distance, a 30-year-old man came sprinting over with a backpack on his shoulders, gasping for breath. His name was Yi Feng. He had quit his job and broken up with his fiancée the day before, having hit a terrible streak of bad luck. He had decided to go on an impromptu trip, only to get stuck in traffic. Traffic jams were bad enough. On top of that, he had to rush from Terminal 3 to Terminal 1. Understandable since it was his first time flying. He scanned his boarding pass and walked onto the jet bridge. When Yi Feng saw the aircraft parked beside him, he was awestruck seeing one up close for the first time. A young woman was walking ahead of him, dressed in a leather jacket and leather trousers. Shen Qingqi. Suddenly the girl stopped and turned to glare at Yi Feng, her expression full of disgust. What are you staring at? Creep. Yi Feng stood 180 centimeters tall and had a sunny-looking face. He hardly looked like a creep, and he had not even been looking at her. Yi Feng shot her a cold glance. He bit back a sharp retort, ignored her, and walked straight past. Shen Qingqi huffed. If we were outside, I would post footage of you online. He stepped through the cabin door. Two flight attendants greeted passengers with smiles. One of them was exceptionally beautiful, with a sweet grin that lifted Yi Feng's gloomy mood. Lin Muxue. Yi Feng's seat was in economy class. Shen Qingqi, who came in behind him, headed for business class. Yi Feng soon found his seat. He had specifically booked a window seat so he could look out at the clouds above. Next to him sat what looked like a newly married couple, openly affectionate. The sight stung Yi Feng. This was exactly the kind of honeymoon trip he had once imagined for himself, yet it had all ended in a breakup. Meanwhile, the plane taxied slowly toward the runway, and the cabin announcement system crackled to life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Flight F0192. Please fasten your seatbelts and stow your tray tables. We expect to arrive at our destination in approximately 2 hours. Yi Feng quickly buckled his seatbelt and glanced out the window. A strong sense of acceleration washed over him. He felt equal parts nervous and excited, and for a moment his troubles faded away. The bride sitting beside him whispered to her husband, "Honey, do you think something terrible will happen to us like in the movies?" "Don't say that. Nothing like that is going to happen," her husband reassured her gently, eyes full of fondness. His words made Yi Feng's heart skip a beat. The plane surged forward, the ground receding, the city shrinking beneath them, and clouds filled the view. Yi Feng's spirits lifted. Then another announcement played over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Flight F0192. We are scheduled to arrive at our destination, the Beast Forest, in 10 minutes. Please prepare yourselves. Everyone in the cabin listened in confusion. The opening lines sounded normal, but the rest carried an eerie undertone. Complaints erupted almost at once. What's this Beast Forest? What kind of announcement is this? We only just took off. Is some flight attendant playing a prank? This is outrageous. I will never fly with this airline again. The flight attendants were equally confused. None of them had spoken over the intercom. The purser said, "Muxue, get on the intercom and calm everyone down." Lin Muxue picked up the microphone right away. "Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely apologize. There has been a fault with the public address system." Shen Qingqi stormed over, clearly annoyed. "What on earth is going on? Watch out. I will file a complaint. This is no joke." The purser hurried to soothe her. "We are truly sorry. We will make sure you receive a proper explanation." Humph. Shen Qingqi turned and walked back toward her seat. Next to her sat a woman wearing sunglasses and a face mask, giving her a mysterious air. A man seated nearby kept fawning over her. The announcement sounded again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we will be landing shortly. Please prepare yourselves." Passengers began to grumble and curse. Several pulled out their phones ready to submit complaints, only to discover there was no signal. Does anyone have cell service? Nothing. What's going on? Why has it suddenly turned dark outside? Cabin crew. Cabin crew. What is happening? Panic spread through the cabin. Yi Feng was dumbfounded. How could his luck get any worse? Moments ago, they had been flying high above bright, sunlit clouds. As the plane descended, everything outside turned pitch black. "Everyone keep your seatbelts fastened. We are about to land." Lin Muxue secured her own seatbelt. "Sister Huangqiu, can you reach the pilot? What is going on? I cannot get through." Huangqiu fastened her seatbelt too, her voice tight with anxiety. Right after she spoke, the aircraft touched down. Tension spiked as every passenger gripped their armrests. Eventually, the plane came to a halt. The sweet yet menacing voice came over the speakers once more. Ladies and gentlemen, please exit the aircraft within 5 minutes. Anyone still on board once the 5 minutes are up will die. That deceptively gentle, blood-chilling line sent a shiver down Yifeng's spine. The cabin doors slid open, connecting to a jet bridge. Angry shouts broke out. I am a very wealthy man. Stop this ridiculous farce. You're the one who's going to die? I'm not getting off. What are you going to do about it? Yifeng frowned deeply, grabbed his backpack, and headed for the exit. Let them argue. This was easily the worst flying experience he had ever had. He would stick to high-speed trains from now on. The newly married couple followed him out of the plane. Lin Muxue held the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely apologize for our emergency landing. Please disembark. Staff will attend to you shortly. Groups of passengers filed out, still complaining loudly. As she left, Shen Qingqi snapped. I will never fly with this airline again. Mark my words. I am definitely filing a complaint. Lin Muxue could only keep apologizing. Stepping onto the jet bridge, Yifeng noticed a 5-minute countdown hovering in the air overhead. Outside lay total darkness, though faint light glowed through the plane's small windows. As the countdown neared 0, Lin Muxue called out to the passengers who had refused to leave. What are you still doing sitting there? An elderly man still on board retorted angrily. I'm not moving. Let's see what anyone can do to me. An older woman added. No compensation, and I won't budge. Get your manager out here. Huang Qiu pulled Lin Muxue back onto the jet bridge. 5, 4, 3, 2. A heavy silence fell over everyone watching. 1. The cabin doors slammed shut. Puffed, puffed, puffed. Clouds of blood burst against the windows. Screams of terror rang out, and panic took hold. People fled forward. Yifeng stood frozen, his face blanked. That moment a voice echoed inside his mind. New user gift pack issued. 1 Glock pistol, 1 magazine, compact storage space, physical enhancement. Fusion, evolution, and kills generate evolution points to improve your body. Strive for more evolution, more fusion, and more kills. Name, Yifeng. Species, human. Base evolution level, 0. Strength, 37 average human. 5 to 8. Defense, 38 average human. 3 to 5. Speed, 39 average human. 2 to 3. Mental power, 22 average human. 0 to 1. When misfortune strikes, the strangest things can happen. He had been thrown into a fight for survival, but at least he had a system. He checked his storage space, where his white, grade, ordinary Glock sat. Grades: white ordinary, green fine, blue rare, purple epic, orange legendary, gold mythic, prismatic supreme. Weapon fusion: combine 2 weapons, or 1 weapon plus materials. Grade remains unchanged. Weapon evolution: requires special materials to raise weapon grade. Past the jet bridge lay a brightly lit departure lounge. It contained rows of seats for vending machines and restrooms. Shen Qingqi walked over to examine the vending machines. They stocked weapons, supplies, and medicine, all purchasable with points. Bottle of mineral water equals 2 points. Instant noodle bucket equals 5 points. USP pistol equals 300 points. 9 by 19 millimeters bullet times 1 equals 5 points. AK-47 rifle equals 500 points. 7.62 millimeters bullet times 1 equals 10 points. Short blade equals 100 points. Condom equals 1 point. What on earth is all this? Shen Qingqi muttered in disbelief. Many passengers were frantically searching for exits, yet every door stayed locked tight. Gone were the polite opening formalities. Let us out. You will be arrested for this. You have committed murder. You will pay for this. My father is a district chief. You are finished. The announcement ignored their shouts and kept playing. Survival rule. At each stop, you must complete the assigned mission to re-board the flight. Fail the mission and you will be trapped in this dimension forever, unable to return home. Killing monsters yields materials and loot. Excess quest materials may be exchanged for points. Higher tier materials grant more points. Use vending machines to buy supplies or trade points. No fighting or killing inside the lounge or on the aircraft. Fighting deducts 200 points. Killing deducts 1,000 points. Those without sufficient points will be erased. Current mission: collect 10 wolf fangs to board the flight. Mission duration: 6 hours. 5-minute preparation period begins now. Remaining in the lounge after preparation ends means death. A 5-minute countdown appeared overhead. Every person also received a tooth extractor and a wristwatch displaying the countdown and directional markers. I want to go home. I don't want to survive this. Let me out. I was going to meet my online girlfriend. We just got married. This was supposed to be our honeymoon. The bride sobbed against her husband's shoulder. 10 wolf fangs? That's nothing. Who's coming with me? Women, stay out of the way, don't slow us down. His bold speech drew 3 other men to join him. Most people were still reeling. Purser Huang Qiu sat rigidly in a chair. Her husband had been the pilot, and he had never made it off the plane, almost certainly dead. Sister Qiu, what should we do? Lin Muxue asked worriedly. The other 5 flight attendants looked to her for guidance. Huang Qiu took several deep breaths, blinked back tears, and steadied herself. Let us first try to understand what we are up against. The lounge echoed with weeping and shouting. Yifeng leaned against a wall, then turned around sharply. Why are you following me? Shen Qingqi's face was pale. I'm not following you. Don't flatter yourself. What did you say? Seeing Yifeng about to lose his temper, Shen Qingqi hurried away. Elsewhere, the woman in sunglasses and a mask frowned deeply. Yao Yao, don't be afraid. I'm here. Beside her stood a large, muscular, rich young man named Tang Yu, behaving in an overly attentive manner. His bodyguard Wang stood behind him. Xu Yao was a famous young actress who had shot to fame from a hit Spring Festival movie. If it weren't for you, I would never be stuck in this mess. Xu Yao snapped. Tang Yao meekly accepted the rebuke. You are right, it is all my fault. With Wang on our side, we will be fine. Besides, my father will send people to rescue me. You had better hope so, or we are done. Of course, of course. Don't be angry. Once we get back, I will buy you the latest Ferrari. Humph. A heavy-set woman with glasses climbed onto a chair and called out. All the women who are alone, group up. Girls help girls. Several unaccompanied young women went over to her. One girl tried to bring her boyfriend along, and the woman shouted immediately, no men allowed. From the crowd, Shen Qingqi called out, I'll join. We can survive without men. Exactly. Some men just try to pressure me for favors in exchange for fangs. Disgusting. Men only want to take advantage of us. Do not let them. The 5-minute countdown hit 0. The 6-hour mission timer began. The sealed main gate slowly rolled upward. Everyone stared out into the darkness. It was pitch black, yet pairs of glowing eyes emerged out of the shadows. The eyes drew steadily closer, and the ground trembled faintly. When light from the lounge fell on the creature, everyone saw a 4-meter-tall brown bear, huge as a small hill. The bear roared and charged straight for the crowd. People scattered. One man was too slow. The bear pinned his foot beneath its paw. He screamed in agony. Help me. The injured man coughed blood and looked to the onlookers. No one dared step forward. How could anyone fight such a giant bear? Even Yifeng doubted a handgun would stop it. The bear reared up and brought its paw crashing down. The man's insides were crushed. Blood gushed out as the bear bit clean through his neck. That horrific sight belonged only to movies. A moment of total silence was shattered by screams, and everyone fled out of the lounge. Shaken, Yifeng ran along with the crowd. Once he had put distance between himself and the entrance and the others were gone, he breathed heavily. That death had been brutally graphic. He slapped his cheeks to calm himself. Panic would get him killed. He had the system. He glanced at his watch. The timer ticked down, and directional indicators showed north, south, east, and west. He opened his system interface. It provided a high-definition tactical map, far more detailed than the watch, marking wolf packs, and even a high reward alpha wolf. The massive brown bear was also marked as high reward. His priority was collecting 10 wolf fangs to complete the quest. All around stretched forest. A foul stench hung in the air, and wolf howls echoed in the distance. Following the map markers, Yifeng quickly located a pack of 6 wolves resting on grass. They were far larger than ordinary wolves. Nothing here followed normal animal rules. He decided to save his limited pistol ammunition for the alpha wolf and the brown bear. Their bodies would yield valuable evolution materials. He would test his enhanced physique against these regular wolves. As Yifeng drew near, the wolves snapped to attention. He lunged forward with tremendous speed, pinned one wolf to the ground, and twisted its neck until it broke. The remaining 5 wolves snarled and leaped at him. Yifeng kicked hard, sending one wolf flying into a tree, where it lay helpless. A heavy punch smashed another wolf, which collapsed, bleeding from its mouth. The last wolf turned to run. Yifeng picked up a rock and hurled it. The rock struck the fleeing wolf with brutal force, knocking it unconscious. +1 kill, +1 kill. Yifeng was pleased with his enhanced body. Every kill granted evolution points. These 6 wolves brought his total to 10% toward full evolution. He wondered what abilities he would unlock once it hit 100%. The fight had burned away his fear, replacing it with sharp focus. Inside the wolf den, he found a white, gray dagger, which could be exchanged for points. These wolves were manageable. Small teams of 3 could handle them, and skilled individuals could take them on alone, though none as effortlessly as him. He counted 185 wolf fangs in total. Each wolf yielded roughly 30 fangs. Excess fangs could be traded for points or used to improve his weapons. He also needed 100 wolf hides for evolution materials. Skinning the wolves cost precious time, with only 6 hours remaining on the mission clock. Once finished, he opened the system fusion menu. Glock pistol plus 300 wolf fangs equals wolf. Tooth pistol white ordinary grade fusion was straightforward. Evolution, however, required rarer components. Bear paw times 1, alpha wolf skull times 1, wolf hide times 100. To evolve his weapon, he would need to hunt more beasts. Guided by his map, he could not get lost. As he tracked toward another wolf pack, he ran across other survivors. It was the all-female group from earlier. Shin Qingqi was growing increasingly frustrated. Instead of discussing hunting tactics or resource allocation, the women kept ranting about men. Had she joined a group that only cared about empty rhetoric? 2 hours had already passed, and they had not spotted a single wolf. Sister, there are wolves ahead. The heavy, set woman with glasses patted her chest, her jowls wobbling. What is there to fear? There are more than 10 of us. We will show those men. Shin Qingqi asked doubtfully. Are we just charging in? Shouldn't we make some simple weapons first? It is only 7 wolves. More than 10 of us can overwhelm them easily, right, sisters? Exactly. If you are scared, leave. And do not expect any wolf fangs if you do. Maybe you should go beg some man to give you fangs. Shin Qingqi burned with humiliation, yet leaving would leave her helpless. She held her tongue. The women failed to notice that their loud voices had drawn the wolf pack. One wolf loomed directly behind the heavy, set woman, its fetid breath on the back of her neck. Horror flashed across every woman's face. What is wrong with all of you? Why are you so afraid? The woman slowly turned her head. A wolf's bared fangs sank into her neck. Blood sprayed everywhere. The women screamed and scattered. Wolves were faster, running them down one by one, crippling legs before chasing new prey. Shin Qingqi sprinted, cursing the foolish group. Now a wolf was hunting her. Ah! Shin Qingqi tripped over a stone. She watched in terror as a wolf leaped toward her. A shadow burst into view. A heavy boot crushed the wolf beneath it. The beast whimpered and went still. Crushed to death with one stomp? It's you. Shin Qingqi stared at Yifeng in disbelief. How could he be this strong? Yifeng had not expected to run into the woman in leather trousers. He glanced at her, grabbed the wolf by its tail, and turned to leave. Shin Qingqi scrambled to her feet and hurried after him. Wait! Get out, Yifeng said coldly. He had no good impression of Shin Qingqi. Not beating her was already being lenient. Shin Qingqi froze on the spot. Grievous tears welled up instantly, and she began to sob. Yet Yifeng was completely unmoved. He did not even slow down. He had seen this trick countless times with his ex-girlfriend and was immune to it. Shin Qingqi had not expected this tactic to fail. Brother, I'm sorry. To survive, Shin Qingqi had to swallow her pride. She stood no chance against these wolves, and this man could crush one with a single stomp. His power was terrifying. Most importantly, time was running out. If she failed to collect 10 wolf fangs, she would die here. Yifeng ignored her entirely. He gathered the 7 wolves together and began pulling out their fangs and skinning them. There were also white, grade weapons inside the wolf den. His luck was fairly good. Seeing Yifeng pulling out wolf fangs, Shin Qingqi curried favor with him. Brother, you have so many wolf fangs. Can you give me 10? Why should I? Yifeng asked without pausing his work. Because you're such a nice person, Yifeng let out a dry laugh. Heh, I'm a creep. You'd better stay far away from me, Yifeng said coldly, his heart hardened. Shin Qingqi grew frantic. She still did not have a single fang, and time was slipping away. Soon Yifeng finished gathering the wolf fangs and moved on to skinning the wolves. Brother, take me with you. I can help you. Shin Qingqi grabbed the hem of Yifeng's clothes and begged, even dropping to her knees. Suddenly Yifeng swung his hand and slapped Shin Qingqi across the face. The sound was sharp and clear. Shin Qingqi cupped her cheek, stunned. She could not believe a man had struck her. He grabbed her by the hair and leaned down, his voice icy. I'll say it one more time. Before Yifeng could finish, Shin Qingqi caught his hand and pressed it against her own cheek. Now it was Yifeng's turn to be dumbfounded. You can hit me as much as you want, brother. Yifeng. Had the blow addled her brain? Seeing Yifeng still unyielding, Shin Qingqi threw all caution to the wind to save her life. Leaning against a tree, she looked back and pleaded. Brother, please. I only need 10 wolf fangs. Yifeng had to admit her persistence caught him off guard. 10 wolf fangs meant almost nothing to him. Fine, you can help me with my tasks. Hearing Yi Feng agree, Shen Qingqi felt a mix of nervousness and relief. I'll do whatever you need. Shen Qingqi's nails dug deep into the tree bark as she braced herself. Pleasure plus 1, pleasure plus 2, double super pleasure plus 10 1 hour later. For someone who dressed so boldly, she had surprisingly little combat experience. No wonder she had been so overconfident. His evolution value had reached 45%. The pleasure bonus was substantial. It seemed assisting in missions was a viable way to raise his stats. Beyond stat gains, his Glock had fused into the wolf gun. Though it was only ordinary white, grade quality, infused with wolf fangs, it stretched 2 meters long, pure white, its tip sharp like bared fangs. Concealed within the gunhead was the original Glock pistol. Armed with this new weapon, hunting went far faster. Hurry up, Yi Feng kept his word. The girl had given genuine assistance. Shen Qingqi seethed inwardly. He showed no consideration for her exhaustion, yet she maintained a flattering smile. Brother, you're so capable. I can barely keep up. Truth be told, aside from her initial unpleasant outburst, her current attitude was agreeable. She provided excellent emotional support. Before long, Yi Feng located another wolf pack of 10 beasts. Shen Qingqi paled at the sight. Brother, let's skip this. We already have enough wolf fangs. Stand back and watch. Don't interrupt. Very well. Only you get to talk. To Shen Qingqi's amazement, Yi Feng summoned the wolf gun. Whoa, that's huge, Shen Qingqi gaped, wondering where he had pulled such a weapon from. With the wolf gun in hand, Yi Feng fought with ease. He stabbed every stone, wolf dead without firing a single bullet. Quit staring. Time to work. Shen Qingqi was still reeling from shock. She had latched onto an incredibly powerful ally. She ought to serve him well. She scurried over to Yi Feng's side and got ready to pitch in. What are you doing? Yi Feng asked. Helping with the work. Yi Feng was exasperated and snapped. I mean skinning and pulling fangs. Right, let's get to it then. Communication was clearly breaking down. In the end, Yi Feng handled the skinning and fang extraction while Shen Qingqi collapsed to the ground, utterly worn out. After these two battles, his evolution value rose to 64%. He still had plenty of stamina, unlike the girl. He could take on 2 more wolf packs. Remaining time, 2 hours 45 minutes 14 seconds. Tom was already past the halfway mark. They still needed to gather most of the required materials. He could not afford to keep wasting time. Storing the wolf fangs and pelts, Yi Feng hoisted the exhausted Shen Qingqi over his shoulder and headed for the next wolf den. When the timer showed 1 hour 12 minutes 19 seconds remaining, he had collected 100 wolf pelts. Only the wolf king and the brown bear remained. Alongside materials, he had looted various white, grade weapons, axes, shields, and more. Useless ones could be exchanged for points or used for fusion. Your wolf fangs. Shen Qingqi stared at the 10 fangs resting in her palm. It had cost her tremendous effort to get them. Her first precious chance had not been taken by her worthless boyfriend, but by this strange man. She felt both angry and helpless. Thank you. Don't mention it. You earned them. Yi Feng now held roughly 3,000 wolf fangs, which he could trade for points back at the waiting hall. Shen Qingqi spoke cautiously. Brother, can I stick with you from now on? Yi Feng shot her a glance. Depends on how you perform. Shen Qingqi. She was usually the one who said lines like that. She never imagined hearing them from a man. Haven't you already seen how well I can perform, brother? Very well. Keep your mouth shut about everything you've seen. Shen Qingqi nodded vigorously. You know how tight-lipped I can be. Yi Feng thought Shen Qingqi's personality was quite contrasting. At their first meeting, she had seemed unreasonable, yet now she spoke with reckless glibness. Young women these days were truly bold. Brother, we only have a little over an hour left. What should we do next? You've gotten quite eager. Shen Qingqi said nothing, her bashful expression giving her away. She would never admit she only wanted to stay on his good side to survive. Yi Feng had no time for distractions. The Wolf King's cave lay straight ahead. Wait out here. Take this dagger for self-defense, Yi Feng said grimly. Bringing Shen Qingqi inside would only slow him down and get her killed. Shen Qingqi accepted the dagger without argument. She glanced toward the dark cave mouth and nodded sensibly. All right, I'll wait for you here. Yi Feng nodded and walked toward the cave. Suddenly Shen Qingqi called after him. Come back safe. Once Yi Feng vanished from sight, Shen Qingqi ducked for cover, her heart racing. The countdown on her wrist told her she could flee right now without waiting for him. But she did not run. Survival hinged on sticking close to him. She had little to offer besides her looks and her willingness to help. Please don't die in there, Yi Feng. Inside the cave, Yi Feng advanced warily, following the system's navigation. The Wolf King was 200 meters ahead. A wolf lunged out from the shadows in a surprise attack. Yifeng thrust the wolf gun forward, impaling the beast. As the wolf tried to yelp, Yifeng clamped a hand over its jaws until it died, then stowed its body in his storage space. Blood would draw more wolves. This branching cave system likely held dozens more. Soon he stepped into a vast cavern. A silver wolf the size of a horse lay resting within. Sensing his presence, the silver wolf king rose to its feet and howled toward the ceiling. Oh whoa! It was summoning its pack. Yifeng charged forward with the wolf gun, aiming to finish the fight quickly. Yet the wolf king's speed astonished him. It dodged the strike, bounded off the gun barrel, and pounced straight for him. Having endured many battles, Yifeng leapt backward out of range and leveled the wolf gun at the silver wolf king. Silvery eyes locked unblinkingly onto Yifeng. Bang! A bullet pierced the wolf king's forehead. The beast had never expected the human to resort to gunfire. His evolution value jumped straight to 78%. Killing a boss granted massive progress. Yifeng exhaled. A drawn-out melee would have wasted precious time he could not spare. He swiftly chopped off the silver wolf king's head and stored it. A green-grade material, the wolf king's bone, dropped beside the corpse, which he also collected. He stowed the entire body too. It might prove useful later. Glancing around, he spotted human skeletons scattered across the cave floor. There was no time to dwell on that. He heard swarming howls. Hordes of wolves were closing in. He activated the system's navigation and sprinted for the exit. The moment he burst out of the Wolf King's cavern, hundreds of wolves blocked both paths. He could not possibly fight them all. Meanwhile, outside the cave, Shen Qingqi was in trouble. She had been waiting peacefully when 4 men emerged. Their leader carried a blood-stained axe, the same man who had shouted in the waiting hall that he wanted no women on his team. Hey there, what a pretty girl. Nice figure. One man circled Shen Qingqi leeringly, his eyes roaming over her body. Little beauty, short on wolf fangs? I've got 5 right here. A flat-topped man shook a blood-smeared metal rod. No thank you. I'm waiting for my brother, Shen Qingqi said in a low voice. Call me Brother Wei, and these 5 fangs are yours. They'll save your life. Brother Wei waved his hand. Little girl, these wolves are no ordinary beasts. They are fast and possess crushing bite, force. Many have died out here, and time is running short. I don't need your help. Shen Qingqi pulled out her dagger and pointed it at the 4 men. Brother Wei let out a mocking sound. Oh, she's got a dagger. Bitch, don't be ungrateful. I'll have you right now. One of his henchmen lost his patience. Don't you dare. Shen Qingqi's sharp shout momentarily froze the man. Brother Wei dropped his pretense, greed glinting in his eyes. Join our group. My brothers and I will take good care of you. Tears welled in Shen Qingqi's eyes. Phone, come out quickly, or I'm done for. Bang. A gunshot echoed from deep within the cave. Brother Wei and his men jumped in alarm. What was that? Who has a gun? Brother Wei. It came from inside the cave. Shen Qingqi's mind raced, and she blurted out. My brother has a gun. Heh. If I take you hostage, that gun will belong to me. Shen Qingqi wanted to slap herself. She had said something incredibly stupid. Brother Wei, wait. What if my brother joins forces with you? She hastily tried to bargain. Brother Wei actually considered the idea. Would he really team up with us? Absolutely. He's looking for allies. You're so powerful and imposing. He would definitely respect you as his leader and hand the gun over. Brother Wei laughed triumphantly. Your brother knows when to yield. Tell him to join us, and I'll make sure you both live comfortably. Absolutely, I promise. Shen Qingqi patted her chest, ready to swear an oath. At that moment, a dark figure burst out of the cave. Seeing Shen Qingqi surrounded, Yifeng swept the wolf gun, hoisted her onto his shoulder, and ran. Evolution value, 79%. Slung over Yifeng's shoulder, Shen Qingqi watched Brother Wei's head tumble to the ground. The other 3 men stared in terror. Worse still, countless wolves poured out of the cave. They swarmed over the men. Screams cut short in an instant. After running for nearly 10 minutes, Yifeng gasped for breath and set Shen Qingqi down. He had barely escaped disaster inside the Wolf King's lair. What had seemed straightforward had held deadly hidden dangers. Feng, what happened back there? Shen Qingqi asked anxiously. The wolf horde had been terrifying, like a tsunami. Yifeng ignored her question. Who were those men? I don't know them. Their leader offered me 5 wolf fangs in exchange for my company. Humph, Yifeng scoffed. Would 5 fangs really make someone like Shen Qingqi submit? He did not understand how precious a single wolf fang had become. Not everyone was as lucky as her. Only 35 minutes left, Shen Qingqi reminded him anxiously, terrified he would miss the evacuation flight. The reminder snapped Yifeng back to reality. They still needed to hunt the brown bear. Fortunately, the brown bear's territory was not far from the waiting hall. It had first appeared near there. Let's go. He offered no further explanation, and Shin Qingqi asked no questions, choosing to stay sensible and obedient. As they neared the waiting hall, corpses littered the ground. Some had been killed by wolves, others by human hands. Several women leaned against trees, their clothing torn, eyes frozen in horror. Shin Qingqi shuddered. If she had been alone, she would have ended up just like them. She instinctively pressed closer to Yifeng. Disobey me, and you will share their fate, Yifeng warned her. The threat terrified Shin Qingqi. I'll obey, Feng. Trust me. Her whole body trembled. A cry for help drifted through the air. Yifeng had no wish to intervene, yet his feet carried him toward the sound. Behind the bushes, a man held a woman in his arms. Her stomach had been torn open, her intestines spilled out. She was long dead. The man clutched her body, shouting for help over and over, his gaze hollow. Yifeng recognized them, the newly wedded couple he had seen earlier. Spotting Yifeng, the man roused slightly and held something out. Take this. He opened his palm to reveal more than 20 wolf fangs, gained at his bride's cost. He had no intention of escaping. Shin Qingqi tried to reason with him. We already have enough. Hurry for the waiting hall. It's fine. Give them to someone who can use them. The man smiled emptily. He set the fangs down and rocked his wife's lifeless body, humming a soft tune. Yifeng sighed, picked up the fangs, and said, Let's move on. Shin Qingqi glanced back at the grieving man. What a devoted husband. Why could she never meet someone like him? Soon they caught sight of the brightly lit waiting hall. Remaining time, 0 hours 19 minutes 12 seconds. The evacuation doors remained shut. Roughly 100 survivors waited outside. A woman suddenly shouted, One lousy wolf fong for that. You must be delusional. Then leave. I'm not forcing you. Scenes like this shattered everyone's sense of morality. A man called out indignantly, That's wrong. How can you demand that for one wolf fawn? Then you give her one. The man flushed red and fell silent, finally snapping. You'll face justice for this. Justice? I don't even know if I'll live till tomorrow. My gold necklace is worth over 100,000. Trade it for your wolf fawn. Worthless trinket. Get lost. Meanwhile, some women accepted these grim trades. Compared to death, the sacrifice felt trivial. One wolf fawn. Any girl interested? Time is running out. Miss the flight, and you're trapped here forever. An older man grinned with yellowed teeth, calling out. A young girl steeled herself and walked over. I'll do it. The man seized her wrist and dragged her toward the woods with a lewd smirk. All through the surrounding forest, similar transactions unfolded. Wolf fangs were desperately needed, yet hard to obtain, spawning a brutal trade. Scammers cheated women out of their bodies without handing over fangs. Others murdered for fangs. Human depravity showed itself in full. Wait here. I have to go out one last time. No. Where you go, I go, Shin Qingqi replied instinctively. In this cruel place, Yifeng was her only safety. Looking at the men all around, they seemed less than human. Seeing her unyielding resolve, Yifeng nodded. Leaving her alone here would be far too dangerous. Time was short, so they ran. Shin Qingqi witnessed countless sordid exchanges. She herself had traded for fangs to survive. She had no right to judge others. 0 hours 09 minutes 52 seconds. Yifeng finally spotted the brown bear. Shin Qingqi was gasping for breath. To her horror, Yifeng intended to fight that massive beast. Was he insane? Stay back. Yifeng charged forward, the wolf gun materializing in his grip. He struck from behind, driving the gun head into the bear's back. Yet the weapon would not pierce fully through, no matter how hard he pushed. Its hide was unbelievably tough. Roar. The brown bear howled in agony and flung its body sideways. The sheer force sent Yifeng flying. He crashed heavily into a tree. Coughing violently, Yifeng stared at the enraged beast. This brown bear was far deadlier than the Silver Wolf King. Blade attacks alone would not work. He would have to shoot. He aimed his pistol at the bear's chest. Bang! The bear staggered. The bullet lodged in thick muscle without penetrating all the way through. Yifeng's heart sank. Bullets barely harmed it. He fired at its head. Its skull functioned like body armor. Blood flowed, but the beast did not fall. Enraged, the brown bear charged straight at him. Though its defenses were formidable, it lacked agility. Yifeng leaped aside. Only 7 minutes remained on the timer. He needed a plan fast. He sprinted forward, gripping the wolf gun tight, aiming for the bear's chest. The brown bear reared high, raising its massive paw. Shin Qingqi clenched her hands tightly, watching. Please, Yifeng, succeed. The wolf, spear tip pierced in, but did not go all the way through. Yifeng immediately pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet shot out from the spear, tip and lodged in the last few muscle fibers. Yifeng fired again. Bang! This bullet slammed into the one ahead. The massive kinetic force drove both rounds straight through the brown bear's heart. The bear's raised paw dropped, and it crashed heavily to the ground. Kills converted to evolution points, which shot straight up to 99%. Shin Qingqi stared in stunned disbelief. A gun firing through a spear, tip? Feng Ji's weapon really was formidable, but there was no time for celebration. Yifeng stuffed the brown bear's corpse straight into his storage space. Feng Ge, something dropped over here, Shin Qingqi called out quickly. It turned out to be a green bear, hide armor piece. As he stowed the armor, a system warning notified him that his storage space was nearly full. He slung Shin Qingqi over his shoulder and ran. Time was running out. Shin Qingqi looked at the resolute Yifeng, and a thought crossed her mind. If they could never escape this place, staying here with him would not be so bad. Yifeng, however, had no intention of being trapped here forever. Back in the waiting hall, the countdown read only 3 minutes and 12 seconds. 159 people stood outside. 200 plus had set out at the start. Among those 159, many still lacked 10 wolf fangs and had broken down, sobbing hysterically. Now there was no way to trade for what they needed. Please, I only need one more, just one. Get lost. I don't have any. Does anyone have one? Please, spare my son's life. A mother dropped to her knees and kowtowed, yet nobody responded. Here, a gentle voice cut through the noise. It was Yifeng, who had just returned. Thank you. Thank you. I'll kowtow to you. Yifeng was fulfilling the late groom's last wish, distributing the groom's spare wolf fangs among those who were short by 1 or 2, to save as many people as he could. As for anyone trying to swindle fangs out of him, they could rot. Even Shin Qingqi understood his sacrifice. Mr. Yang, this fool is just giving wolf fangs away, one man sneered. Yang Chang gripped a blood-stained axe. He wore dress trousers and a shirt, a Rolex watch on his wrist. 5 company senior executives stood beside him. They had been on a business trip when this nightmare descended. Led by Yang Chang, the 6 of them had easily collected 10 wolf fangs, with several spares left over. Yang Chang himself intended to exchange surplus fangs for points, but his subordinates traded fangs for favors. Sure enough, 1 wolf fang can buy you quite a bit. Those stewardesses have held on somehow. A fat man leered, his gaze greedy as he watched the women. Yang Chang glanced over at Lin Muxue and the others, his expression calm. Surviving is what matters most. Everything else can wait. His subordinates nodded, yet their eyes kept drifting toward the attractive women. Survival had brought out their worst impulses. Everyone count your wolf fangs carefully, don't miscount. Huang Qiu, the chief stewardess, reminded the 5 young women beside her, especially Lin Muxue, who was the most beautiful among them. Song Ran, one of Lin Muxue's friends, grumbled, "These men are disgusting. They abuse their strength and act completely lawlessly." "Keep your voice down," Huang Qiu warned. At least the men were still trading. If they turned to outright robbery, the women would be in far worse trouble. Song Ran rolled her eyes. "If we ever get out of here, I will report every single one of their crimes. They deserve to go to prison." She began counting her own wolf fangs. "I have the right number. Mine add up too." Suddenly Song Ran's face went rigid. Her voice shook. I only have 9. Where's the last one?" "Song Ran, count again." "This is no time for jokes," Huang Qiu said gravely. Song Ran was fond of pranks. Tears welled in Song Ran's eyes in less than a minute. "I'm not joking. I lost 1. She looked pleadingly at Lin Muxue, silently begging for help. But none of the 6 women had a spare fang to give. Silence fell. Every one of them wanted to live. Nobody wanted to remain trapped in this hellish place. "Muxue." Song Ran's eyes brimmed with desperation. Lin Muxue spotted Yifeng not far away. Biting her lip, she hurried toward him. She had seen him giving away wolf fangs earlier. "Muxue," Huang Qiu called after her, but Lin Muxue kept walking. Yifeng waited by the entrance. He had gathered enough materials and planned to find somewhere to evolve once they got through. His evolution points were stuck at 99%. Shin Qingqi pressed close to Yifeng, sending a clear warning to everyone else to think twice before crossing them. When she saw Lin Muxue approaching, Shin Qingqi instantly grew wary, the instinct of one woman toward another. "Hello," Lin Muxue said. Yifeng merely grunted in reply. Lin Muxue struggled to speak, but time was short, so she came straight to the point. "I am missing 1 wolf fang." Yifeng's indifferent attitude frayed her nerves. She glanced back at Song Ran, who watched her with tear-streaked eyes. "I will owe you a favor for 1 wolf fang." Lin Muxue forced the words out. Beside him, Shin Qingqi let out a cold huff. One favor? You'd better make it worth his trouble. Yifeng almost wanted to give her a thumbs up for her sharp bargaining. Very well. Yifeng flicked a wolf fang with his thumb. Lin Muxue caught it and turned to hurry back. Humph. Putting on airs, Shin Qingqi muttered. Putting on airs about what? Feng Gu, think about it. Why didn't she ask any other man? She sees how strong and capable you are. Yifeng wrapped an arm around Shin Qingqi's waist. We can rest properly once we board. I'm glad I can stay by your side, Shin Qingqi replied. Over on the other side, Lin Muxue handed the wolf fang to Song Ran. Overjoyed, Song Ran cried. Thank you, Muxue. I will repay you for this. It's fine. Just be more careful from now on, Lin Muxue said with a strained smile. Huang Qiu fixed her with a serious gaze. Muxue, what promise did you make him? Lin Muxue said nothing, which was answer enough. As long as we survive, it is worth it, she told the others with a smile. Jiang Fu could not hold her tongue. Muxue, this was never your burden. Song Ran should have borne the consequences herself. Song Ran flared up at once. What are you saying? Are you jealous of me? Jealous of you? If you had not let that wolf get away when you thought it looked pitiful, we could have hunted another one for extra points. Jiang Fu shot back angrily. Huang Qiu quickly stepped in to calm the quarrel, though she too felt bitter. Everyone had been furious when Song Ran had spared that wolf. Song Ran pulled Lin Muxue aside and whispered, We have the fang now. Later I will talk to him. He cannot force us to keep a promise we never formally agreed to. Lin Muxue stayed silent. She did not want to honor that implied debt either. Leave this to me. I will handle it. The second she finished speaking, the countdown hit 0. The waiting hall door slid open, with a 5-minute countdown until closure. Yifeng grinned. They had made it. Everyone surged inside. The 10 wolf fangs each person carried vanished from their inventories. And yet, one man was left stuck outside, blocked by an invisible barrier. What is happening? Why can't I get in? He shouted in panic. Someone already inside called out. Count your fangs again. He poured them all out into his hands. I have 10 right here. Buddy, one of those is far too small. That looks like a human tooth. Did you trade with someone? Another person pointed out. Realization crashed over the man. He scanned the crowd. You brat. You tricked me. A teenage boy turned around and smirked scornfully. That's your own stupidity. I will kill you. The man roared, yet he could not cross the threshold. Despair overtook him. He dropped to his knees. Someone please help me, just one fang. Suddenly a wolf fang landed at his feet. Yang Chong had thrown it. To Yang Chong, buying loyalty with one wolf fang was far more valuable than wasting it on trivial gains. The man kowtowed violently toward Yang Chong. Sir, I will follow you from now on. Come inside first, Yang Chong said with a charismatic smile. The man stepped into the hall, his eyes burning to kill the boy, but he understood the rules of this place. Outside the doors, several others still without 10 fangs wept and kowtowed toward those inside. No one answered. A heavy silence fell. Then a figure sprinted toward the doors in the distance. Ha ha! The doors are still open, the man cackled, certain he had beaten the clock. His joy was short-lived. A man weeping on the ground lunged straight for him. In an instant, others swarmed over him, fighting to snatch his wolf fangs. What are you doing? Let go. My hand. They did not only grapple, they bit. Hundreds inside the waiting hall watched, witnessing humanity stripped away. Ha! I have 10 now. I have enough. The man who had struck first shrieked with delight and threw himself toward the entrance. His 10 fangs vanished. He collapsed onto the cold tile floor of the hall and laughed until tears streamed down his face. Outside the doorway, the remaining few fought and tore at one another for wolf fangs. The people inside watched as though observing beasts in an arena. Strike at his legs. Bite him. This is no time for mercy. Some in the hall even shouted suggestions. Without weapons, human teeth became tools of violence. One woman went completely feral, biting through another person's throat. Blood sprayed across her face, turning her into a sight straight out of a nightmare. The women inside the hall turned away, sickened by the cruelty. Those safe behind the barrier could never truly understand the desperation of the people trapped outside. The last 2 survivors outside savaged each other. Blood pooled across the ground. When the countdown reached 0, both bled out and died. The heavy door slid shut. Congratulations, survivors. You have made it this far. Boarding will commence in 1 hour. You may exchange surplus materials for points, which can be used to purchase supplies. Once the announcement ended, an oppressive hush hung over the hall. No one dared to make the first move. Then the teenage boy walked up to the vending machine. He pulled 5 wolf fangs from inside his shirt and converted them into 5 points. He spent 2 points to buy a bottle of mineral water. The clink of the bottle dropping echoed through the hall. Many swallowed dryly. Most had not drunk a drop of water since the ordeal began. The boy lifted the bottle and drank slowly, right in front of everyone's eyes. Nobody dared rob him. Assaulting another person incurred a 200-point penalty. Anyone unable to pay the fine would be erased on the spot. The man who had been cheated out of his spot stared daggers at the boy. Yang Chong clapped him on the shoulder. There will be a chance for revenge later. The man nodded grimly. Next, Tang Yu approached the vending machine. He pulled out a huge handful of wolf fangs, well over 100. He exchanged them for 2 bottles of water and 2 cups of instant noodles, then walked over smiling to Chu Yao. He barely spared a thought for how he had gotten so many fangs, almost entirely thanks to his bodyguard Wang Lao. Wang Lao's suit was torn to rags. His arms and legs were covered in gashes and scratches. He desperately needed medicine, yet Tang Yu's entire focus was on Chu Yao. Wang Lao felt bitter inside, but his professional sense of duty still held. He told himself he would go home soon and collect his generous salary. Yang Chong also converted his surplus fangs, gaining roughly 100 points. He bought water and instant noodles, the most practical purchases, and shared them with his men, leaving him with few points remaining. He had considered buying cigarettes, only to see a pack cost 10 points and a lighter 5. The prices were outrageous. Many others had no spare fangs at all, barely enough to meet the entry requirement. Most could only afford 1 bottle of water. They stared longingly at people eating noodles, mouths watering. A small number still had some food left in their luggage to sustain them. Yifeng stepped up to the machine. What would you like to eat? Anything is fine. I am easy to satisfy. Pretending to pull fangs from his pocket, Yifeng held his hand up to the slot of the vending machine. Clatter, clatter, clatter. The sound of countless wolf fangs pouring out drew every pair of eyes in the room. Yifeng stopped before he emptied his supply. He checked his points. 1472. Half his fangs were still unused. Mineral water times 2 equals 4 points clay. Pot rice times 2 equals 40 points hot. Dog sausages times 2 equals 10 points tiramisu, times 1 equals 10 points beer times 1 equals 5 points bunch of grapes times 1 equals 30 points whole watermelon times 1 equals 40 points pack of cigarettes times 1 equals 10 points lighter equals 5 points. After purchasing everything, he still had 1,318 points left. Fruit was shockingly expensive. Shun Qingqi gazed at the spread of food. Things she would once have taken for granted now looked like the most delicious feast imaginable, and tears pricked her eyes. She knew sticking close to Yifeng had been the wisest choice she had ever made. The onlookers' stomachs rumbled. They were exhausted from fighting wolves out in the wild. Some cursed themselves for not cooking wolf meat while they had the chance. He has that many points. Song Ran breathed out in shock. Lin Mushua twisted her fingers and stared at the ground, saying nothing. Don't worry, Mushua. He probably won't hold you to that promise, Song Ran muttered. Huang Qiu frowned. Enough. We will get meals once we board the aircraft. Before she could finish speaking, an old man of about 65 pointed an accusing finger at Yifeng. His 2 adult sons, grandson and daughter-in-law stood behind him. Young man, you have so much food. Why not share? It would be doing good deeds. Yifeng did not even lift his head as he picked up a piece of braised pork. Get lost. Kid, you had better watch your back. We will be seeing plenty of each other. The old man's son stepped forward to snarl. Yifeng's voice turned icy. Moral blackmail? The rules are the only thing keeping you alive right now. Out in the wild, you would not be so lucky. Several people in the crowd began to jeer. Even some of those Yifeng had previously given wolf fangs to joined in, all craving food. You have so much, why can't you share with everyone? Right? With great power comes great responsibility. I thought you were a decent person before. I was so wrong. I bet he was just some nobody back home, showing off now. The man had barely finished his taunt when a dagger buried itself in his forehead. Evolution points, 100%. Screams erupted. People scrambled backward, horrified. He had killed someone. Blood trickled down the man's face. Yifeng stood and walked over to him. Am I showing off now? He pulled the dagger free and wiped the blood on the dead man's clothes. The system announcement blared. Yifeng has committed murder. 1,000 points deducted. Everyone waited for Yifeng to be erased. Yet he turned and walked calmly back, returning the dagger to Shun Qingqi. Anyone else want to accuse me of showing off? Yifeng swept his gaze across the crowd. Complete silence fell. Beneath his cold exterior, Yifeng's heart raced. A heavy weight he had carried for years melted away. The others stared in disbelief. He had lost 1,000 points, yet still lived. How was that possible? Shun Qingqi stood stunned, filled with admiration for his power. The dead man's sons dragged their father's body away. If he could survive 1,000-point deduction and kill without fear, he was far too dangerous to provoke. Mr. Yang, that Yifeng is terrifying. He could afford to lose 1,000 points, one subordinate whispered. Yang Chong let out a short laugh. These rules only bind ordinary people. They mean nothing to the strong. If you hold enough points, you can kill whoever you want. His subordinates realized the truth. This so-called safe zone was the most dangerous place of all. The more points you possessed, the more power you wielded. Humph, that brat dares to grandstand in front of me. Wang Lao, take him out next chance you get, Tang Yu seethed. He hated being upstaged, especially with Chu Yao watching. Wang Lao sighed inwardly. As you wish, young master. He had seen Yi Feng's knife throw. This man was clearly a highly trained fighter. Nearby, Song Ran gasped. He actually killed someone, and nothing happened to him. Lin Muxue kept quiet. Muxue, you should go and get on his good side, Song Ran suggested. Huang Qiu snapped at her in a low voice. Song Ran, what are you talking about? Muxue already made that huge sacrifice for you. How can you suggest? Look at that woman. She used to sit in business class. Now she gets all the good things just by staying beside him. Muxue is just as pretty. Why should she suffer with us? Song Ran argued. Secretly, she hoped she could also benefit if Lin Muxue grew close to Yi Feng. Jiang Fu let out a bitter laugh. You just want those benefits for yourself, yet you have no way to earn them. What did you say? Say that again. Song Ran's voice rose sharply. Quiet. Can you two stop bickering, even at a time like this? Huang Qiu rebuked them. Both women huffed and turned away. Huang Qiu heaved a weary sigh. Abruptly, commotion broke out toward the back of the waiting hall. A man and woman were locked in a bitter struggle. Let go of me. You brute, the woman shrieked. The man grabbed her roughly by the hair. You drank my water, and now you want to go back on your word. Help me, she fought desperately. He slapped her hard across the face. Announcement. Deng Zhixiong has engaged in assault. 200 points deducted. Subject possesses insufficient points. Termination imminent. Deng Zhixiong froze, staring at the woman. You lied to me. He raised his hand to strike again. Before his blow landed, his body exploded into gore. Blood splattered all over the woman, yet she broke into wild, hysterical laughter. She had tricked him into his own destruction. Yang Chong walked over and handed her a bottle of water, draping his jacket over her shoulders. Thank you, she whispered. You are welcome. Whispers spread through the hall. People began comparing Yang Chong and Yi Feng. Shen Qingqi snorted. He sure knows how to win people over. First he gained a follower, now he is comforting this woman. Yi Feng bit into his watermelon, lost in thought about evolution and power. No longer would he bow and scrape to others. Anyone who crossed him would face the consequences. I've got a white grade short sword here. Who'll take it for 95 points, shouted a middle-aged man wearing glasses. Buddy, the vending machine sells this for 100 points. You want 95? That's way too steep. I'll give you 10 points for it. The man with glasses stared at him as if he were an idiot and held out his palm. A single point can make a woman surrender her dignity, even cost someone their life. I'm practically giving you 5 lives worth of discount. His words were harsh, yet no one argued. Such tragedies had already unfolded right before their eyes. At this moment, aside from Yi Feng, almost nobody could afford 95 points. Tang Yu let out a cold snort. If this survival game let you pay to win, I'd shoot straight to the top of the leaderboard. Beside him, Chu Yao rolled her eyes. This was no video game. Countless people had already lost their lives. Yang Chong stood up and smiled. Buddy, you'd only get 50 points if you sold that short sword back to the vending machine. You're ripping people off. The man in glasses' expression turned stiff. Only those who owned weapons knew the back price was merely half the original value. 55 points. I'll take it, Tang Yu called out. The man with glasses frowned tightly. 90. Not a point less. Forget it, that's all I've got. The man with glasses studied Tang Yu for a moment. 60. Take it or leave it. Deal. The two walked over to the vending machine to complete the trade. Tang Yu took the short sword and handed it over to bodyguard Old Wang. Though he was rather self-serving, he understood he would be in grave danger without Old Wang's protection. Once he had the points, the man in glasses rushed to buy water and instant noodles. The rest of the crowd could only watch on with envy. Standing nearby, Shen Qingqi held back a laugh. These people haggled fiercely over mere handfuls of points, yet her Feng Gu possessed over 1,000 points. He also owned several white-grade weapons, gear most teams could never hope to find. She glanced toward Yi Feng, only to notice he was lost in thought. Yi Feng was debating whether to trigger an evolution. He decided against it. Any unusual commotion would draw every pair of eyes onto him. Just then, Tang Yu, who had just purchased the short sword, climbed onto a seat and called out. Everyone, my name is Tang Yu. I'm the heir to the Tang Group. All heads turned toward him. What good did status do in this place? Tang Yu kept speaking. After everything we've endured in this survival trial, you must all realize, only unity keeps us alive. Solitary survivors do not last long. The wolves from the last stage were neither impossible nor trivial to defeat, but through cooperation, each of us can make it through. Who's willing to follow me? Once we escape this ordeal, you'll get million yuan annual salaries, houses and cars. Quite a few people wavered. If they ever made it back to the real world, those rewards would guarantee a comfortable life. Mr. Tang, how will points be divided? Someone asked. Tang Yu smiled. I will allocate all points. I'll make sure everyone meets the survival requirements and gets enough to eat. The only condition is that you obey my orders. Mr. Tang, my whole family wants to join. The two sons of the elderly man from earlier stepped forward at once. Great. Who else? I'll join too. Count me in. In no time, Tang Yu's faction swelled to 10 members. Not to be outdone, Yang Chong shouted loudly. Brothers and sisters, I may not be as wealthy as Mr. Tang, but I can guarantee your safety and supply you with food. Everyone, you've seen Yang Chong's reliability. You are all welcome to join us. 3 men from a small group immediately joined Yang Chong. Before long, many others began calling out. Small factions merged into larger ones. At least 10 major groups had formed. Yang Chong accepted 3 women and stopped recruiting, knowing women generally lacked combat strength. Other groups openly stated similar preferences, yet some women still chose to join them anyway. Sister Huang Qiu, we ought to join one of the groups as well, Song Ran suggested. Being women put them at a clear disadvantage. Huang Qiu said nothing. Zhang Fu spoke coldly. If you want to throw away your self-respect to join them, don't drag the rest of us down. Zhang Fu, what have I ever done to you? Why are you always picking on me? I just can't stand you. Huang Qiu was too worn out to mediate their quarrel. At that moment, a young girl stepped forward nervously. May I join your group? Huang Qiu blinked, then smiled. Of course, you're welcome. I have a friend who also wants to come. Is that all right? Certainly. The girl hurried off to fetch her companion. One after another, young women unwilling to sacrifice their dignity flocked to the flight attendants group, bringing their total number to 18, the largest assembly in the waiting hall. Huang Qiu's confidence grew stronger. Meanwhile, Tang Yu walked up to Yi Feng and grinned. Friend, would you be interested in joining our team? Shen Qingqi peeled grapes and fed them to Yi Feng. Yi Feng glanced at Tang Yu and replied flatly, no interest. Tang Yu felt publicly humiliated and sneered. I'm offering you a good opportunity. Are you rejecting my goodwill? Who do you think you are? Or are you hoping I'll put on some big show for you? Tang Yu's face went rigid. He dared not gamble on the possibility that Yi Feng truly possessed over 1,000 points. He could do nothing but turn and leave with a dark expression. Right after Tang Yu departed, Yang Chong approached. Friend, care to join us? Strength lies in numbers. If you prove capable, you can handle point distribution yourself. Still no interest. Yang Chong paused and forced a smile. No worries. Our doors will always be open if you change your mind. Yi Feng merely hummed. Yang Chong left, disappointed. Seeing this, the leaders of other factions came over to extend invitations, only to be turned away one after another. The onlookers watched Yi Feng and Shen Qingqi. They were clearly set on going it alone. Most believed solitary survivors would inevitably perish, and that their survival so far was nothing but luck. There was one other lone survivor, the teenage con artist. He stared at Yi Feng, seemingly full of curiosity. An hour slipped by quickly. A broadcast echoed through the hall. Survivors, Flight F0192 is preparing for departure. Please gather your belongings and board the aircraft. The door leading to the jet bridge slid open. Everyone rose and headed forward. Yi Feng walked over to the vending machine and exchanged all his wolf fangs for points. 1918 points in total. He purchased food and drinks, stowing them inside his storage space, spending 200 points. 1718 points remained, enough to cover the penalty for killing another person. Back aboard the plane, the flight attendants found no welcoming crew waiting for them. Huang Qiu hurried to the galley and wrenched open the cabinets. They were completely empty. How can this be? Huang Qiu looked around. Every storage compartment was bare. All food and drinking water were gone. Someone must have looted everything. Zhang Fu snapped irritably. What do we do? I'm so thirsty. I counted on getting water once we boarded. How are we supposed to gather points fighting monsters in the next location without strength? Lin Muxue addressed the group. Let us conserve our strength and rest. We will earn plenty of points to trade for supplies at the next station. The others agreed and settled down to preserve their energy. Then the rich aroma of instant noodles drifted through the cabin. Normally the flight attendants would have wrinkled their noses at such cheap food, but right now the scent smelled like paradise. Even a sip of the broth would feel like a blessing. Yifeng returned to his seat. The seats beside him stood empty. Many seats across the cabin were vacant as well. Shen Qingqi leaned over toward him. Fengge, let me give you a massage. Behave yourself, Yifeng said. There were other passengers sitting nearby. Very well, I'll do it properly. Shen Qingqi smiled slyly and began massaging Yifeng's shoulders and body. Yifeng let out a low sigh. Her technique was surprisingly skilled. Where did you learn this? I'd look for you if I visited your parlor. There's no need for that. I'll do whatever you ask of me. Besides, I'm a university student, not a masseuse. Yifeng let out a short laugh. You really know how to charm people. I can adjust to any persona you like, Fengge. The massage felt wonderfully soothing, especially after all the bloodshed they had endured. The cabin door sealed shut. Everyone felt the aircraft begin to move. Moments later, powerful thrust pressed them back into their seats. The plane climbed through the clouds. Bright sunlight streamed through the small windows. For a brief moment, hope flared inside many survivors. We're safe. We're going home. Ha ha. All of you who hurt and threatened others will get what you deserve. Some people's faces turned cold upon hearing those words. Then the broadcast cut in abruptly. Survivors, you will arrive at the next stage, Blood Moon, in 3 hours. Prepare yourselves for far harsher survival challenges. Joy drained from those who had just celebrated. Meanwhile, those who had committed killings laughed loudly. If murder had not been forbidden aboard the plane, violence would already have broken out. Suddenly, another airplane burst out from below and behind, flying parallel to their craft. Thinking they had found other survivors, people rushed to the right, side windows, and waved for help. What they saw filled them with despair. Yifeng spotted a woman pressed against the window of the other plane, and could see signs of reckless chaos unfolding inside that aircraft. Huang Qiu, that plane is going through the same ordeal as us, one girl murmured. Does this mean everyone is trapped in these survival trials? Will we ever get back home? The girls had clung to the hope of returning home, and that hope had driven them to fight wolves and collect fangs. Now that hope crumbled away, leaving them emotionally shattered. They had only fought wolves so far. What terrors awaited them in 3 hours? What exactly was Blood Moon? The name alone sounded ominous. The curtain separating compartments was pulled open. All eyes turned toward the doorway. Lin Mushue's heart skipped a beat when she laid eyes on Yifeng's stern face. She thought he had come to collect on their earlier arrangement. Her breath caught when she noticed Shen Qingqi standing right behind him. They were merely heading for the restroom. Yifeng paused and glanced at Lin Mushue. I'll call for you later. He drew the curtain, closed behind him. Lin Mushue froze where she stood. Tears welled in her eyes, and her whole body trembled. Had the moment she dreaded finally arrived? She looked toward Song Ran. Hadn't Song Ran promised to stand up for her? Yet Song Ran avoided her gaze and said nothing. Even Huang Qiu remained silent. No one dared provoke Yifeng. He had killed in the waiting hall and gotten away with a 1,000-point penalty. Crossing someone like him meant certain death out in the field. The newer members of their group knew none of this. He just bullies people to get what he wants. I thought he might be decent, but he's no different from all the other men. Mushue, don't give in to him. Jiang Fu sneered. Song Ran, you swore you'd speak up for others. Why are you keeping quiet now? Song Ran bit her lip and stared at the floor, afraid of angering Yifeng. Mushue only made that deal to help you. Lin Mushue grabbed Jiang Fu's wrist and whispered. Stop it. Don't say any more. You're being used by her. Why should you be the one to make sacrifices while she walks away unscathed? Only then did the new girls learn the truth. Lin Mushue had agreed to the bargain for Song Ran's sake. They began to reproach Song Ran. Red-faced, Song Ran suddenly snapped. I never asked her to do that. She made that choice on her own. This has nothing to do with me. A heavy silence fell over the compartment. Song Ran stared wide-eyed at Lin Mushue, expecting her to back down. Lin Mushue's eyes streamed with tears. Her body shook, and nausea twisted in her stomach. Huang Qiu sighed heavily. Jiang Fu could hardly believe what she had just heard. After a long pause, Lin Mushue wiped her tears and stood up. From now on, you and I are finished. She walked over and knocked on the door. The door opened. Yifeng looked at her. I haven't summoned you yet. Lin Mushue stepped inside of her own accord and pulled the door shut. Yifeng was surprised by her resolve. 1 hour later, Yifeng and Shen Qingqi returned to their seats to rest. 2 hours remained before landing. Lin Mushue tidied her hair while looking into a mirror. She held a bottle of water Yifeng had left behind and stepped back out into the cabin. The other women looked her way. Her beautiful face held no flush, only a deathly pallor. Have some of this, Lin Mushue said, holding out the bottle of water. Nobody reached for it. In their minds, the water had been obtained through her sacrifice and none felt entitled to drink it. Lin Muxue set the bottle down on a table. Sister Huangqiu, I'm leaving the group. Without looking back, she walked away. Her spirit was broken. Betrayed by her closest friend, with no one willing to defend her, she felt like a fool. She had once believed mutual trust would carry them all through this nightmare. Lin Muxue walked over to Yi Feng's seat. May I sit here? Shen Qingqi glanced at her and smiled faintly. The girl had made a wise choice. Staying with the other women meant either death at the hands of monsters or exploitation by men. Yi Feng kept his eyes closed and spoke flatly. You traded for my favor. Why should I take you along? Lin Muxue had not expected such blunt honesty. It was a refreshing change from the men she had known. I can prove I am far more useful than her. Shen Qingqi's eyes flew open. Lin Muxue was competing for a place beside Yi Feng. We shall see what you can do, Yi Feng replied calmly. Lin Muxue let out a quiet breath of relief. Thank you. Just yesterday, she could never have imagined herself in this position, thanking a man for granting her safety. Shen Qingqi had never imagined she would have a rival vying for a spot beside Yi Feng. Yi Feng reflected on his situation. Two women with no combat skills would slow his movements down once they landed. He needed to give them the means to defend themselves, or find ways for them to contribute during fights. Simple favor was not enough. Behind the curtain, one of the flight attendants saw Lin Muxue sit down next to Yi Feng and gasped, turning back to inform the others. Muxue has gone over to that man. Song Ran curled her lip. Don't act so noble. She was just looking for an excuse to latch onto a powerful protector. She probably wanted this all along. Song Ran, you are shameless. Muxue sacrificed herself for you, and now you slander her. She made the right choice to seek protection rather than being used by you. Song Ran grabbed the untouched bottle of water, twisted the cap open, and drank deeply. Jiang Fu, you're just jealous you don't have the looks to catch his eye. Jiang Fu laughed in anger and turned toward Huangqiu. Sister Huangqiu, keeping someone like her in our group will destroy us all. Either kick her out, or I leave. Huangqiu responded as she always had. Calm down. Let us talk this through reasonably. Jiang Fu would not back down this time. I would rather face whatever horrors await outside than stay with her. I'm leaving. Other flight attendants tried to hold her back, but she broke free. Jiang Fu walked straight over to where Yang Chong rested. Sir, can I join your group? I can fight. I will not slow anyone down, and I will obey every order you give me. Yang Chong opened his eyes and sized Jiang Fu up. She was quite attractive. Very well. Rest assured, our group will never force you to trade your body for safety. Jiang Fu answered directly. If I fail to pull my weight, I will accept whatever consequences that brings. Yang Chong admired her fiery spirit. He handed her a half-empty bottle of water. Rest well. Jiang Fu drank greedily. Huangqiu was far too soft-hearted, coddling someone as selfish as Song Ran. Seeing Jiang Fu accepted into Yang Chong's faction, some of the other flight attendants felt envy stir within them. She's just desperate for protection, and she dares to blame me. Song Ran fumed, finishing the water and refusing to share a drop with anyone else. Huangqiu's patience snapped. Song Ran, one more word and you leave this group. Song Qiu glared back at her and sneered. Fine, I'll go. Leave the water. Huangqiu ordered. Song Ran drained the last drop, tossed the empty bottle onto the floor. There you go, Sister Huangqiu. She stormed off. Song Ran knew Yi Feng would never accept her, so she headed for Tang Yu instead. Mr. Tang, can I join your team? She knelt beside him, deliberately loosening her collar. Tang Yu's eyes lingered on her. She was no match for the most beautiful women aboard, yet she still possessed notable charm. What skills do you bring? Song Ran brushed her hand lightly against the back of his hand. I know how to take good care of people. Tang Yu's interest was piqued. Show me what you can do. Song Ran gave him a coquettish look. Chu Yao, sitting a short distance away, clenched her fists in disgust. Every person aboard the plane was trapped in their own desperate calculations. After some time passed, the broadcast sounded once more. Flight F-0192 will commence its descent. All survivors, please prepare yourselves. The aircraft plummeted downward. Weightlessness made the women scream. Everyone gripped their armrests, overcome with dread. Bright sunlight vanished from the windows. In its place lay a murky gray sky, dominated by a glowing crimson moon. The plane touched down smoothly at last. The survivors exhaled, relieved they had not crashed. The broadcast played. Survivors, you have 5 minutes to exit the aircraft. Anyone remaining aboard after 5 minutes will perish. No one dared test the rule. Several older passengers hurried toward the cabin door the moment it unlocked, afraid of being left behind. Everyone streamed through the jet bridge. Through its windows, they caught glimpses of a deeply unsettling landscape. When they stepped into the new waiting hall, they saw it was nothing like the previous one. Overhead lights flickered on and off in the dead silence, pulsing like the fading heartbeat of a dying creature. The countdown timer flickered in sync with the lights. Seats were peeling and rust-stained. Wall plaster crumbled away. Thick cobwebs draped every corner. Even the vending machine was coated in rust. "This place must have been abandoned for centuries," someone muttered. "It gives me the creeps, just like a horror movie, Silent Hill." "Is this stage built around horror themes?" Voices murmured through the hall. Then the broadcast began. Mission issued. Collect 1 cup of holy water to qualify for boarding. Extra holy water may be exchanged for points, materials, or items. Mission duration, 48 hours. 5-minute preparation period commences now. Defeat this stage's boss, the City Lord, to earn 3,000 points plus 1 green, grade quality item. Remaining inside the waiting hall will result in death. A small glass vial appeared in every survivor's hand, meant for holding the holy water. 2 full days were given to complete the mission. The reward for slaying the boss, 3,000 points and a rare green, grade item, sent every faction leader's mind racing. Whoever defeated the City Lord would become the undisputed leader of this flight's survivors. With that many points, one could buy multiple assault rifles and rise to overwhelming power. Yifeng's heart stirred. His system could mark the boss's exact position, while everyone else would have to search blindly. The 48-hour time limit proved this trial was far less rushed than the last. Yet there was no hint as to where to find the holy water, unlike the plainly visible wolf fangs of the prior stage. Difficulty was clearly ramping up. He needed to stock up on more food and water for the long mission ahead. Yifeng walked over to the vending machine and spent 500 points on supplies, leaving 18 points in reserve, enough to cover the murder penalty if needed. Tang Yu, Yang Chong, and other faction leaders also rushed to buy as many supplies as their points allowed. Once they stepped out of the waiting hall, whether they would find food would be entirely down to luck. However, Huangqiu's all-female group was destitute. They could not even scrape together enough money for a single bottle of water. 2 of the girls chose to drop out. Faced with harsh reality, they decided to trade their bodies for a chance to survive. Huangqiu looked at the more than 10 girls who remained and said in a heavy voice, "No one is forced to stay. But if you choose to remain, it means you refuse to sell yourselves. If we fight hard enough, we will survive. That's right. We will never sell ourselves. If there is no food, we will go out and chew tree bark." Their previously low spirits lifted quickly, and the girls were filled with determination. Other teams watched them shouting slogans and sneered. The last group that chanted slogans had already vanished, and no one knew where their leader had ended up. Willpower could sustain people for 2 days, but no one knew what terrible dangers or monsters lay ahead, and that could prove fatal. Suddenly, a man with glasses whistled in their direction. "Hey, flight attendants, how about coming over to our side? Just keep us men company. Get lost." The man with glasses burst into loud laughter. Lin Muxua looked over at Huangqiu's group and seemed to feel a twinge of pity. Yifeng said flatly, "You can go back if you want. No one is stopping you." Lin Muxua paused, lowered her head slightly, and stood her ground. "Humph. If you have no intention of leaving, don't wear that pity-stricken look," Shin Qingqi huffed. "You are still far too inexperienced to compete with me." Lin Muxua shook her head. "I'm not leaving." "Then obey. Do what you are told," Shin Qingqi instructed. "Understood. That's more like it." Shin Qingqi felt a quiet surge of satisfaction. Gaining the upper hand over others felt good. As the countdown ended, the doors to the waiting hall slowly slid open. Everyone tensed up, fearing another brown bear would charge out. No monster appeared this time. Outside, the sky hung a dark crimson red. An endless gravel road stretched onward, flanked by small, run-down houses that had stood empty for a long time. The architecture carried faint European-style features. Yifeng stepped out first, with Shin Qingqi and Lin Muxua close behind him. Seeing Yifeng walk out, the rest hurried to leave the waiting hall. Those who had mocked Yifeng earlier grew anxious, afraid he would kill them out in the open. Yifeng, however, was in a hurry to locate a spot to enhance his body and upgrade his weapons, so he moved fast and paid them no mind. "Boss Tang, look at Yifeng rushing ahead. Could he be afraid we will team up to kill him?" one of Tang Yu's lackeys said with malice. Song Ran agreed. "I think Yifeng just got lucky. If we had known wolves were that easy to kill, we could have stockpiled plenty of wolf fangs too." Tang Yu snorted coldly. "That kid disrespected me. I will deal with him sooner or later." Standing nearby, Chu Yao felt a sharp sense of crisis. She was losing her grip over Tang Yu, especially with this former flight attendant joining his group and catering to his every wish. How detestable. Elsewhere, Yang Chong's subordinates discussed the same matter. We should watch Yifeng for now. There is no need to pick a fight with him. Yang Chong was a pragmatist, and he had no direct conflicts of interest with Yifeng. But his men lusted after the two stunning women beside Yifeng. In ordinary life, women like them would never spare them a glance. Only in this survival world could they dream of having power over such beauties. Boss Yang, that guy looks dangerous. If he grows stronger, he will overpower us. Yes, Boss Yang. He seems brutal. We ought to take him out before he gets too powerful. Yang Chong frowned as he listened to his men. I hear you. I will think about it. Everyone keep an eye on the houses on both sides. Watch for ambushes. Ahead, Yifeng moved swiftly, easily outpacing everyone behind him. He turned off the main road and spotted an abandoned farm not far away. He decided to carry out his enhancements there. You two stay here and do not wander off. Neither woman dared to disobey Yifeng's order. Yifeng summoned the corpses of the Silver Wolf King and the Brown Bear out of his storage space. Shin Qingqi had seen this before and remained calm, but Lin Muxue stared in shock, confused how bodies could appear out of thin air. Yifeng pulled out a machete and warned, "Mark my words. Keep your mouth shut, or you will die." "I will never tell anyone." Lin Muxue shook her head frantically. Shin Qingqi swore an oath. "If I breathe a word, I will take my own life without you needing to lift a finger." Yifeng said nothing more and laid out his materials. He also brought out another wolf carcass. "Don't just stand there. This wolf meat is edible." The two women set about skinning and butchering the wolf. Yifeng prepared to fuse his weapons. Iron sword, shield, dagger, iron hammer. He merged all these white, grade weapons into his wolf spear. He handed the dagger to Lin Muxue for self-defense. "Thank you, Brother Yifeng." Lin Muxue spoke shyly, unlike the bold Shin Qingqi. Yifeng gave a short hum and began the fusion process. 3 white, grade weapons merged into the wolf spear. The spear underwent a dramatic transformation. It could shift into multiple forms. Instead of a single spearhead, it bore half-meter-long double blades. At the press of a mechanism, there was a click-clack sound, and it folded into an iron shield with a hidden Glock built into the shield's crown, perfect for surprise attacks. Another press restored it to spear form. It also had a dual-wield mode. The 2-meter-long weapon split down the middle, connected by an iron chain. One end held double blades, the other a spearhead. It became a pair of heavy linked weapons, and the spearhead could still fire projectiles. The result was quite impressive. The two women gaped in astonishment. Brother Yifeng's weapon was incredibly formidable, yet Yifeng had only fused ordinary weapons. Though it possessed multiple forms, its overall quality was still lacking. He laid out his evolution materials: 1 bear paw, 1 wolf king skull, 100 wolf hides. Evolve. The weapon's original white hue slowly shifted to green. Shin Qingqi and Lin Muxue could barely process what they were seeing. White turning green. The weapon reshaped itself once more. It turned silver all over. The double blades bore the pupils of the Silver Wolf King, and a tuft of silver wolf fur dangled beneath the cutting edges. Wolf King Shield Spear. Special skills. Summon the Silver Wolf King to fight alongside you. Unleash Bear Paw Strike. Yifeng was overjoyed. This green fine, grade weapon came with not one, but 2 special abilities, including the ability to summon the Silver Wolf King. His combat power had risen tremendously. Ordinarily, green fine, grade items granted at most 1 special skill. Gaining 2 was the true wonder of evolution. He checked the materials required for the next evolution: Emil Ross's ring, silk tapestry, dragonbone zither. These 3 items clearly would not be easy to obtain, but gathering them promised an extraordinary power boost. As for the bear pelt armor, Yifeng decided to refine it and wear it beneath his clothes for extra defense. The Silver Wolf King's bones were green, grade material. He could fuse them as well, but he chose to hold on to them for now. His current strength was sufficient. Weapon evolution was complete. Next came personal bodily evolution. The moment filled him with excitement. He opened his system panel and clicked Evolve. Yifeng's heart raced as he wondered what form his evolution would take. He hoped for something cool and powerful. 3 options appeared before his eyes. 1. Enhanced Body Gene. Greatly boosts overall physical stats. Necrophile Gene. Grants necrophile abilities. Absorb souls for power gains. Mark targets with necro sigils. Mark targets will obey your commands absolutely. You control their life and death, and gain minor power from consumed souls. Self-Healing Gene. Wounds heal 3 to 5 times faster than normal. Severed fingers can regrow over several days. Host may select 2 out of 3 for this first time evolution as a bonus reward. The system had delivered. The necrophile gene appealed greatly. With sigils placed on the two women, he would never need to fear betrayal. Promises meant nothing. Sigils offered absolute control. While self-healing was powerful, Yifeng reasoned that if he was strong enough, he would avoid injury altogether. He chose Enhanced Body Gene and Necrophile Gene. Evolution successful. He opened his updated status panel. Name, Yifeng Race. Human, Necrophile Body Evolution Count. 1 Strength, 57 Defense, 48 Speed, 59 Mental Power, 42 Evolved Genes. Enhanced Body Gene, Necrophile Gene. A surge of explosive power flooded through Yifeng's body. His muscles swelled, and the necrophile gene spread through his tissues. He glanced toward Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue, and waves of necro energy washed over them. When Yifeng regained his senses, Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue lay convulsing on the ground. Ordinary humans could barely withstand that energy surge. He acted quickly and branded them with necro sigils. The process went smoothly. Purple and gold demonic patterns bloomed across their lower abdomens, forming striking tattoos. A system notification popped up. Necro Servants. Name, Shen Qingqi Race. Human, Necrophile Strength, 15 Defense, 13 Speed, 12 Mental Power, 3. Name, Lin Muxue Race. Human, Necrophile Strength, 13 Defense, 15 Speed, 16 Mental Power, 2. He had not expected them to appear on his system panel as official servants. Both were noticeably stronger than ordinary humans, an unexpected bonus that gave them basic survival capability. The convulsing women calmed, their breathing steadying. When they opened their eyes, they looked at Yifeng with a mixture of fear, admiration, and devotion. What is this tattoo on my stomach? Shen Qingqi cried out in shock. I have one too, Lin Muxue said in confusion. Both women stared at Yifeng. Yifeng shrugged. These are power sigils I just acquired. They make you stronger. Brother Yifeng, I could almost cry. Shen Qingqi had thought Yifeng only cared about extracting benefits for himself. She had never imagined he would grant her power. Lin Muxue had assumed Yifeng only saw her as disposable labor. She felt deep shame realizing he genuinely looked out for her. I'm sorry, Brother Yifeng, Lin Muxue said earnestly. Yifeng did not fully understand, but waved it off. Since you follow me, I will not treat you poorly. So, his sentence was cut short by a sharp system warning. He pulled up his system map. Dense clusters of red dots crowded all around their position. Monsters were closing in. Watch out. Yifeng gripped his Wolf King shield, spear, and scanned the surroundings warily. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue stood back, keeping watch. Suddenly, the ground shifted. Skeletal hands burst upward, and skeletons clambered out one after another, wielding rusted axes and knives. More and more skeleton warriors emerged. They had stumbled straight into a skeleton nest. Hundreds of skeletons surrounded them. Before his evolution, Yifeng would have grabbed the two women and fled. Now he felt no fear. His weapon and body had both been greatly enhanced. He stretched his muscles. Bring it on. You two get down. Yifeng gripped the Wolf King shield, spear with both hands, folding its double blades into shield form. He swung hard. A fan-shaped wave of force shattered dozens of skeletons into bone shards, dropping piles of white, grayed weapons. The two women stared at Yifeng in awe. His power was terrifying. Silver Wolf King. Howl. The giant Silver Wolf King leaped out from the weapon. Its claws slashed and jaws crunched, mowing down wave after wave of skeletons. Every kill fed his evolution meter. The feeling was exhilarating. Bear Paw Strike. Yifeng raised his weapon high. The shield reshaped into a massive bear paw form. Boom. The ground cracked apart. A violent shockwave sent skeletons flying in every direction. Yifeng was stunned by the raw destructive force. Even the brown bear from before would have died under this blow. He would not need to run from wolf hordes anymore. However, the Silver Wolf King could only stay manifested for 5 minutes. After unleashing Bear Paw Strike, he could not use the skill again. It was not a lack of stamina. The grade weapon could barely contain such power and wrist breaking. Bear Paw Strike was far too strong for a fine grade item. He stepped forward and crushed the last remaining skull beneath his boot. Collect all these weapons, Yifeng called back. They could be exchanged for points or used to enhance the two women's gear. With the necro sigils guaranteeing loyalty, he could safely push them to grow stronger. Betrayal would carry fatal consequences. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue obediently gathered the dropped weapons. The skeletons seemed fragile, breaking apart with every hit. It was not that the skeletons were weak. Yifeng's recent power surge was simply enormous. After the battle, his evolution progress hit 50%. His next evolution would not take long. Unfortunately, these skeletons were already undead. They possessed no souls, so he gained no extra soul power from killing them. Some distance away, Tang Yu's group also encountered skeletons, though only 4 of them. As they marched, a skeletal hand clamped onto Song Ran's ankle, terrifying her so badly she lost control of her bladder. Those 4 skeletons already pushed their whole team to the brink. 2 people had suffered deep cuts. Wolves were simple beasts with predictable attacks, but these skeletons fought with crude intelligence and dodged incoming blows. Wong, finish them off, Tang Yu shouted anxiously, hiding behind Chu Yao and Song Ran. Old Wong swore under his breath. 2 gashes marred his body. His short sword barely scratched skeleton bone. He adjusted his tactics. Charging forward, he dodged a downward chop, threw the skeleton over his shoulder, and stamped down hard on its knee joint. Crack! The skeleton's knee shattered, leaving it immobilized. Old Wong shouted, "Their sternums are tough. Target their lower limbs." But the other men lacked his combat skill and dared not close in. One man tried copying Old Wong's move. The skeleton sidestepped, and its rusted great sword swung down. My hand. The man's right hand was severed, and blood gushed out. Old Wong snatched up an axe dropped by a skeleton and tossed it to one of the more capable men. 4 of you gang up on one skeleton, Old Wong ordered. It was the safest strategy. The men acted quickly. Once a skeleton lost a leg, it became nearly harmless, only able to crawl across the ground. Still, defeating 4 skeletons cost 3 wounded team members. Even with 4 new white-grade weapons as loot, nobody felt celebratory. Once the danger passed, Tang Yu stepped forward. You all should learn combat skills from Wong. How do you expect to survive otherwise? The men seethed inwardly. They risked their lives fighting while Tang Yu cowered in the back. The women on the team only screamed and offered no practical help. Wong, train the others when you have time, Tang Yu said irritably. These people dreamed of huge salaries back home, but once they escaped this place, he would abandon them all. Song Ran muttered, "These skeletons are so strong. That Yifeng must be dead by now." Obviously, he is not some god. Tang Yu's temper grew uglier. He even looked at Chu Yao with suspicion. Chu Yao noticed and kept silent, afraid of provoking him. Yang Chang's group also ran into skeletons, for in total, they lost 1 man and had another wounded before wiping them out. Boss Yang, we earned 4 white-grade weapons from this fight. We took heavy losses without proper weapons. 1 brother died. Can't you women do something useful? Why hang so far back? Except for Jiang Fu, the other 3 women were paralyzed by fear and said nothing. Yang Chang spoke in a heavy tone. Enough. These skeletons are more dangerous than wolves. We still have no clue where the holy water is. Keep searching. Boss Yang, do you think Yifeng could handle skeletons? 1 man with 2 women, like he is playing some game. He is probably hacked to pieces already. It's a shame about those 2 beautiful women. They picked the wrong person to follow. Yang Chang secretly hoped Yifeng was dead. Yifeng represented a major threat. Other groups also suffered casualties. Huangqiu's all-female team fared especially poorly. 3 dead and 3 gravely injured after killing only 5 skeletons. Hope had drained from the survivors' faces. I should have joined a group with men. 1 girl broke down in tears. No one blamed her. Harsh reality stared them in the face. They had not glimpsed even a drop of holy water, yet they had already lost lives. Lead attendant, if you see my parents, please tell them. The girl's voice faded. She had suffered deep stab wounds to her abdomen and slashes across her shoulders, and she died before finishing her sentence. Huangqiu closed her eyes, her body trembling. In this cruel world, women faced inherent disadvantages in raw physical combat. Anyone who wants to keep going, follow me. Huangqiu picked up an axe and pressed onward. Standing still meant death. The remaining girls gritted their teeth, grabbed crude weapons, and followed. 2 severely wounded girls lay abandoned on the ground, staring up at the dark crimson sky as their lives slipped away. Back at the farm, Yifeng upgraded weapons for the 2 women. Shen Qingqi favored blades, so he fused a sword-shield set that switched between sword and shield forms at will. Lin Muxue took a liking to a huge 2-handed battle axe. Yifeng was surprised by her taste. Soft, looking on the surface, she preferred heavy, hitting weaponry. He forged an axe-shield for her. Thanks to the necro sigils, both women's strength had increased, and they could wield their heavy new weapons comfortably. The necrophile gene proved extremely useful. Yifeng set his next goal: locate the holy water, slay the castle lord boss, then find a safe spot to farm more evolution points. These 2 women would prove quite valuable assets. He opened his system map. 3 locations were marked for holy water: a church, a mountain valley, and a castle. The castle housed their main target, the castle lord. Naturally, he chose the most dangerous destination. Hey, do you feel stronger? Shen Qingqi asked Lin Muxue with quiet pride, seeing herself as Yifeng's primary follower. Lin Muxue looked at her. Brother Yifeng told us the sigils would grant us power. TCH, I was just testing you. I already knew that. Shen Qingqi huffed and walked away, annoyed at herself for slipping up. Yifeng's overwhelming power must have addled her wits. Lin Muxue hefted her massive two-handed axe with one hand. The sight was striking, a woman in a stewardess uniform gripping a battle taller than herself axe. They traveled for hours before spotting the distant spires of the castle. Along the way, they encountered numerous skeletons. Yifeng held back and let Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue handle the fighting to build their combat experience. At first they were clumsy and afraid. After repeated kills, they grew seasoned fighters. Lin Muxue in particular became devastating. Her huge axe shattered skeletons with every heavy blow. Shen Qingqi envied her raw destructive power, though her sword, shield granted superior mobility. Each had their own strengths. Yifeng enjoyed a relaxed position. Even kills made by the two women counted toward his evolution meter. A lazy strategy began forming in his mind. Brother Yifeng, are we the first ones to arrive? Lin Muxue had grown more open and talkative. Yifeng nodded. Expect more than skeletons ahead. Stay alert. Both women nodded. As they drew near the castle walls, the three of them spotted other human figures. Yifeng could hardly believe it. Was there anyone faster than him? But he quickly dismissed the thought. These people wore clothing unlike anything he had seen, resembling styles from medieval Europe. Oh, are you warriors? A white woman spotted Yifeng and the other two, walking over with a smile to ask. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue said nothing, standing behind Yifeng. Faced with this sudden encounter, Yifeng smiled. Yes. Do you live over there? He pointed toward the castle. The white woman nodded. That's right, warrior. Are you heading into the town? We are. What a coincidence. I'm just going home. Could you tell me tales of your bravery? There are countless undead skeletons outside the castle. How did you make your way here? Yifeng mused silently. It seemed she knew nothing about the plane crash. She must be a local resident of this world. We fought our way through. Good heavens, you are truly formidable, warrior. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue shot wary glances at the woman. You must come to my home as my guest. It would be my greatest honor. You are too kind. Yifeng tried to decline repeatedly, but the white woman was extremely insistent. He decided to follow her and see what lay ahead. Before long, Yifeng caught sight of a stone wall. This was no ordinary castle. A massive stone perimeter wall stretched out, dotted with watchtowers where archers stood on guard. Open the gates. These are warriors who have traveled from afar. Once they heard the word warrior, the vigilant locals immediately grew respectful and pulled open the heavy gates. When the townsfolk inside saw them, they stepped forward and bowed. Honored warriors, welcome to town of Kant. Yifeng had not expected to meet such simple folk in this desolate place. All the buildings were single-story houses with exposed timber frames filled with mortar and straw, reinforced clay. Deep cracks snaked across the walls, carved by time. Thick, uneven thatch weighed down the rooftops. Nearby, a blacksmith hammered metal, while a butcher chopped bones and looked over with a grin. Fresh blood stained the ground beneath him. Serena, you are fortunate to have met warriors. Warriors, you must visit my house. A blonde woman called out invitingly. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue rolled their eyes, fully aligned in their wariness. Serena's home was plain. The floor was packed earth, and a stone hearth in the center provided the only light for the room. Two elderly people and Serena's elder brother lived here. You must be weary, warriors. This is wine I brewed myself. Serena enthusiastically filled wooden bowls and looked at Yifeng expectantly. Yifeng reached for his bowl, then slowly set it back down. Serena's brother frowned at once. Serena asked with concern, Warrior, why won't you drink? It seems we are not the first outsiders to arrive here, Yifeng said abruptly. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue were stunned. Had someone reached this place before Yifeng? Warrior, what are you talking about? Yifeng folded his arms across his chest. Drop the act. I have not seen a single animal along the road. What meat has your butcher been cutting? Our livestock are raised within the town, Serena replied hastily. Take me to see them. Serena's smile faded. Her brother let out a cold laugh. Serena, stop playing games. This man is not like the other fools. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue gasped. There really were outsiders who had arrived earlier than them. Those fools rushed to drink the moment water was offered to them. Why didn't you drink? Serena cast off her gentle pretense, a mocking look crossing her face. Yifeng almost laughed. Simply because we were not thirsty. It makes no difference in the end. Yi Feng rose slowly, staring coldly at Serena. You are right. The outcome will be the same. In an instant, the Wolf King's spear and shield materialized in his hands. The aura of the Silver Wolf King surged forth, startling Serena. She stared in disbelief. You wield a weapon comparable to the Lord's. I was wondering where I could harvest souls. You people have delivered yourselves straight to me. Her brother drew a longsword. Quit wasting words. Kill them. We will have meat tonight. I wonder where you get your overconfidence. Yi Feng thrust forward casually. The spear pierced straight through the man and lifted him off the ground, blood dripping down the shaft. Brother, a wisp of soul drifted free. Yi Feng felt a surge of exhilaration. Even Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue sensed it. The aura of souls tempted something deep within them. More. He needed more. Yi Feng pulled the spear free and swung it downward. Serena stood frozen, her body split cleanly from top to bottom. Yi Feng drew in a deep breath. The scent of souls was intoxicating. He opened his eyes. Eliminate all of them. Excitement trembled through Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue. Grins tugged at their lips as they raised their weapons and charged forward. Blood splattered across their faces. Serena, do you need assistance? Send the outsiders over quickly. Stewing meat takes time. Hurry. The wooden door creaked open. A thick wave of blood spilled out from within the house. Yi Feng stepped outside, followed by Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue. Having tasted battle, their gazes had turned resolute. Leave no one alive, Yi Feng said coldly. The townspeople outside had not expected the three warriors to emerge alive. Loose arrows. Loose arrows. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The people who had shown such deference moments ago twisted into vicious rage, sending volleys of arrows toward Yi Feng and the others. The three instantly reshaped their weapons into shields. Arrows clanged repeatedly against the shield surfaces. Yi Feng let out a low laugh. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue laughed alongside him. Their laughter grew louder as the last arrows struck and fell uselessly to the ground. The hunt had begun. Hurry, kill them. Silver Wolf King. A howl echoed. The Silver Wolf King burst out from the weapon, seizing townsfolk one after another and tearing them apart with its claws. Bear strike. Yi Feng leaped high. The Wolf King's spear and shield transformed into a massive bear's paw, slamming downward. Three townsfolk were crushed into paste on the spot. Souls billowed outward, fueling their frenzy. They swung their weapons recklessly, caught up in the slaughter. Absorbing souls boosted their power, and their stats climbed steadily. Within mere minutes, the town square was covered in corpses, mangled beyond recognition. Search every corner. Leave no survivors, Yi Feng ordered. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue split off to search the houses on either side. Anyone they found was cut down, releasing precious souls. The sensation was utterly addictive. Yi Feng could absorb the energy even from dozens of meters away. He took the larger share, while the two women claimed the rest. Yi Feng walked over to the butcher's stall. Neatly arranged cuts of meat lay on the table, but when he pushed open the backroom door, human bodies hung from beams, their innards removed. Yi Feng recognized these people. They were members of another outsider team, all dead. They had almost certainly been tricked into entering the town. If the previous trial required small teams to cooperate, this trial demanded all survivors work together. The town held fewer than 200 residents, half of whom were the elderly and children. Only around 60 strong adult men were capable of fighting. Without unity, no group could hope to pass this trial, at least not near the castle. Yi Feng wondered what challenges awaited at the other two locations. Brother Yi, we've cleared this area. Brother Yi, I did great. I eliminated everyone. Shen Qingqi waved her bloodied weapon, pride shining in her eyes. Yi Feng looked at the two women, stained with blood. There was a sharp, striking intensity about them. A fierce restlessness stirred inside him. Soul absorption and the power gained from slaughter brought tremendous growth. His evolution value shot up to 92%. The infusion of souls raised all their attributes significantly, including Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue. Name, Yi Feng race. Human, undead evolution count. 1 strength, 87 defense, 78 speed, 69 mental power, 52 evolution genes. Enhanced physique gene, undead gene. Name, Shen Qingqi race. Human, undead strength, 25 defense, 23 speed, 22 mental power, 6 name. Lin Muxue race. Human, undead strength, 23 defense, 25 speed, 26 mental power, 4. Thanks to their improved stats, they could withstand intense combat. If more powerful foes like these appeared, the gains would be extraordinary. It was a pity the town population was small. Their stats would have climbed even higher otherwise. The two women had changed greatly. Once forced to yield and endure hardship, they now held the power to strike down whoever stood against them. They watched the townsfolk beg and cower, trembling souls radiating terror. They felt no pity, only thrill. As beings infused with undead power, their instincts left no room for mercy. Yifeng patted the top of their heads. It is time we pay a visit to this castle lord. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxua wiped away the blood, then turned their gaze toward the castle. Chaos and bloodshed filled the town outside, yet not a single sound came from within the castle walls. Was the lord hiding in fear, or simply viewing them as insignificant pests? When they reached the castle gates, Yifeng swung his weapon. The giant double doors crashed off their hinges. Dim crimson light spilled inward, failing to chase away the deep darkness. A red carpet stretched endlessly into the keep. Yifeng checked his system interface. The holy water and the castle lord were both inside. He dared not rush blindly in. No one knew what traps waited within. You have come all this way. Why not step inside? A hoarse, peculiar voice echoed, carrying a lazy tone. Lights along the ceiling flickered on one by one. Warm yellow glow dispelled the shadows. Yifeng finally laid eyes on the castle lord. He sat upon a gilded throne, chin resting in one hand, a greatsword propped beside his seat. Yifeng stepped into the castle, the two women following closely behind. The air inside was thick and heavy with death energy. Far from hindering Yifeng, the energy was passively absorbed, slowly lifting his attributes. He opened the system panel. Emil Ross, undead, no wonder. As he drew closer, Yifeng saw the lord possess the features of a handsome Western man. Pale skin, sharp facial features, and snow-white hair. What do you think? Is he your type? Yifeng joked casually. Lin Muxua spoke softly. My preference stands beside me. Shen Qingqi muttered under her breath. She hated that Lin Muxua kept copying her lines instead of thinking of her own retorts. Yifeng had grown fond of Lin Muxua. He would truly mourn if something happened to her. No outsider has ever reached my throne. I am delighted this day has come. Emil Ross rose slowly, the hem of his black tailcoat swaying. He carried the poise of a noble aristocrat. Skulls were arranged beside the golden throne, creating a grisly contrast with his refined appearance. Shen Qingqi suddenly spoke. You seem so happy. Why not die for us then? You cannot simply demand someone die, Lin Muxua argued. Perhaps he will agree if he is cheerful enough. Do you take the castle lord for a fool? Yifeng shrugged. The two women fought side by side in battle, yet turned on each other the moment the fighting stopped. Their friendship was fragile indeed. Emil Ross had maintained an easy demeanor, but their bickering made veins bulge on his forehead. Silence. No one dares speak so loudly in front of Emil Ross. The moment Emil Ross finished speaking, Shen Qingqi shouted. Lin Muxua, can you not come up with original lines? You copy everything I say. Lin Muxua replied calmly. I am not as quick-witted as you, so I have to learn. Shen Qingqi. Emil Ross's handsome face twisted with irritation. You seek death. He snapped his fingers. The ground trembled beneath Yifeng's feet. Skeletons crawled up from every crack, and the corpses scattered outside the castle reanimated as skeletons. Shen Qingqi laughed. This handsome lord looked far less impressive when enraged. No one could compare to Brother Yi. Every enemy they defeated added to his evolution progress. This leader was practically delivering power to them. Slay them all. Yifeng charged forward as he spoke. At the same time, he pondered. Could any ordinary group complete this trial? Even if all survivors united, defeating the townsfolk followed by this horde of skeletons would exhaust anyone to the brink of collapse. The other two objective zones must be far more reasonable. Anyone greedy enough to charge straight for the castle would meet certain death. Of course. Today, they faced Yifeng. He intended to claim all the points and the high-grade reward. Leave the skeletons to you two. With that order, Yifeng raised the Wolf King spear and shield and charged straight at Emil Ross. Emil Ross stretched out a hand. His greatsword flew into his grasp, lifted to block the incoming strike. Clang! A violent shockwave blasted outward. Cracks spread across the ground beneath Emil Ross's feet. Shock flooded his face. Emil Ross was stunned, and Yifeng felt surprise as well. With his current strength and physical enhancements, few could withstand a blow without collapsing. Emil Ross could not believe it. The force of the collision sent numbness through his entire body. This had never happened to him before. Bang! A gunshot rang out. The bullet slipped through the gap between their clashing weapons. Emil Ross never anticipated this attack. The bullet pierced straight through his forehead. A faint smile tugged at Yifeng's lips. Was this the extent of his power? Yet confusion washed over him when Emil Ross did not fall. You look surprised. Are you wondering why I do not perish? Because I am a noble undead. Yifeng pondered. If that was true, did he also possess the same resilience? Noble my foot. Silver Wolf King. How? Emil Ross's brows shot upward. You have tamed the Silver Wolf King. The beast's aura visibly unsettled him. Bear strike. Emil Ross sensed terrifying power gathering. Impossible. How could an outsider wield such strength? It could not be. Emil Ross raised his greatsword with both hands to block. The bear-shaped force slammed down. The greatsword shattered instantly. Emil Ross caught the blow with his bare hands. The overwhelming power forced him to his knees, cratering the stone floor. Seizing the opening, the Silver Wolf King lunged and bit cleanly through Emil Ross's neck. Even without a head, his hands continued pushing against the force. Yifeng knew this was his only chance. Fall. He poured all his strength into another strike. His weapon bent under the massive pressure. Headless, Emil Ross could resist no longer and was crushed into pulp. Yifeng gasped heavily, having expended nearly all his energy. Defeating this leader was a trap in itself. Even he had struggled greatly. No ordinary survivor stood a chance. A wisp of soul floated upward, locking its gaze on Yifeng. I never imagined someone could defeat a fragment of my soul. Mark my words. Next time we meet, I will tear out your soul and brand you as my slave. Yifeng wore the expression of someone watching a fool ramble. He opened his mouth. A powerful suction force erupted. What? How is this possible? You are also undead. No. Spare me. I can offer you anything. Do not devour my soul. The soul was drawn fully into Yifeng. Burp. Absorbed Emil Ross's soul. Acquired undead summoning. The stronger your mental power, the more powerful and numerous the summoned dead. Absorbed Emil Ross's soul. Acquired soul flame. It burned souls, bringing agonizing torment. An unexpected windfall. He had gained 2 new skills directly from consuming the soul. His attributes surged drastically. Name: Yifeng race. Human. Undead evolution count. 1 strength. 125 defense. 118 speed. 124 mental power. 98 evolution genes. Enhanced physique gene. Undead gene skills. Undead summoning. Soul flame. Name: Shun Qingqi race. Human. Undead strength. 34 defense. 32 speed. 39 mental power. 21 name: Lin Muxue race. Human. Undead strength. 35 defense. 38 speed. 33 mental power. 17. The growth was staggering, especially the sharp rise in mental power. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue also received a portion of the power. This battle brought tremendous advancement. He was grateful he had chosen physical enhancement during evolution. His strength advantage had suppressed Emil Ross. The Lord had lost in part due to underestimating his opponent and never unleashing Soul Flame. Congratulations to Survivor for defeating Emil Ross. Reward: 3,000 points, fine grade greatsword. Broadcast victory to all survivors. No need. Understood. Bonus 3,000 points for first-time defeat of the target. 6,000 points total. A generous reward indeed. No one had ever defeated him before. It made sense. Without a system, no ordinary survivor could stand against this leader. A single swing of his greatsword could cut down most fighters instantly. The fine-grade greatsword carried a special passive ability. Summon quantity doubled. Yifeng stared in shock, confirming the green text. Doubled summons. No wonder the Lord could command such vast numbers of skeletons. This weapon was almost certainly the source of his power. Materials lay scattered on the ground. A rare blue-quality item. Emil Ross's ring. A material required for weapon evolution. His luck was outstanding. He still needed 2 more materials. Weapon evolution was far more difficult than evolving his own body. Yifeng stored all loot inside his storage space, then helped the 2 women clear the remaining skeletons. Every bit of energy counted. His evolution value had also reached maximum. Evolve. 3 options appeared before him. Self-healing gene, summoning ability, evolution, perception gene. Self-healing gene tempted him greatly. But when he saw summoning ability evolution, his decision was made instantly. His new greatsword already doubled summon numbers. Combined with upgraded summoning power, he read the details carefully. After evolution, the weakest creatures he could summon would be skeleton warriors. Without hesitation, he selected summoning ability evolution. Due to the overflow of previous evolution points, he now has 48% evolution progress. He will select the self-healing gene next time. First, fuse the weapons. He opened the system and merged the Wolf King shield gun with the greatsword. The weapon's form shifted once more. It retained its double-edged design but grew longer, with a more streamlined silhouette. He focused on checking its attributes and let out a breath of relief. All 3 attributes had been preserved. He decided to test the summoning ability. Yi Feng raised his hand, and scattered skeletons clambered back to their feet. This time, they were clad in heavy armor, and there were 10 of them in total. Yi Feng mused to himself. The base summoning count should be 5, and the doubling effect brought it up to 10. A single one of these skeleton warriors could cut down dozens of ordinary skeletons with ease. As his mental power grew, the number he could summon would rise accordingly. The two women beside him stared in shock. They could scarcely believe how powerful Brother Feng was, able to summon such formidable creatures. Let's finish the task of collecting holy water first. According to the map marker, it should be on the second floor, and the marker is overlapping. Yet when the three of them reached the second floor, they found nothing but several empty rooms. Brother Feng, there's no holy water here. Yi Feng paused, then leaped down. It's not upstairs, so it must be underground. Let's look for an entrance. The two women searched every corner, but found no way down. If they could not find an entrance, they would make one. He raised his weapon and shouted, "Bear strike." The tremendous force shook the entire castle, smashing straight through the ground. Beneath lay a pool brimming with holy water. There was enough to satisfy the needs of hundreds of people. The materials required for the mission were far more abundant than they needed. Shen Qingqi jumped down and gasped. There's such a huge amount. Surely the surplus can be exchanged for plenty of points. Lin Muxue sighed inwardly. Others fought bitterly, even abandoning their dignity, just to get the mission materials. Here, they had more than they could use. She wondered how the chief steward was faring. The three took out their allocated small bottles to fill them. Yi Feng had no intention of leaving the remaining holy water behind. He stored every last drop in his spatial storage. Let's go. They had completed the mission in less than a day. Next, they could search for more souls to absorb. Suddenly, Lin Muxue called out, "Brother Feng, there's a treasure chest over here." Yi Feng and Shen Qingqi, who had been about to leave, turned around. Sure enough, a treasure chest sat in a spot that was extremely hard to spot from most angles. They had nearly missed this valuable loot. He opened it and found a vial of blue liquid inside. "What's this?" Shen Qingqi asked in confusion. Lin Muxue shook her head and looked toward Yi Feng. Yi Feng activated the system scan, and a result appeared soon after. Healing potion. Upon consumption, there is a chance to gain the healing ability. Grade: green, common item. Yi Feng saw no use for it himself and turned to the two women. Drinking this gives you a chance to unlock healing powers. Who wants to become a healer? Brother Feng, we can always rely on you for healing whenever we need it. Lin Muxue covered her mouth and chuckled. Lin Muxue, stop copying my lines. Shen Qingqi threw her hands up in exasperation. Her signature remark had been stolen. Lin Muxue smiled playfully. So which one of you wants it? Lin Muxue suggested. If we're still considering, we could split it between us. You can have it. All I want to do is fight, Shen Qingqi pouted. She wanted to get one over on the overly confident Lin Muxue and remind her who was the senior among them. Hearing this, Lin Muxue did not hesitate and drank the entire potion in one gulp. Her wristwatch lit up moments later with a notification. You have obtained the healing ability. It turned out the watch had this function. Now they had someone who could tend to injuries, so Yi Feng could put off unlocking the self-healing gene for the time being. The three searched the area thoroughly once more to confirm there were no other treasures before departing. Yi Feng planned to check the other two locations. The survivors there were all ruthless, and eliminating them would let him absorb more souls to gain attribute points. For everyone else, this world meant a desperate struggle for survival. For Yi Feng, it was relatively relaxed. Roughly 2 hours after the trio left, a figure emerged on the path outside the town walls. It was the lone young man, Bai Lin. Bai Lin stared at the wide, open town gate as he reached the perimeter and frowned. He glanced toward the watchtowers. They were empty. He moved with extreme caution. Instead of entering through the main gate, he chose to climb over the wall, though the precaution proved unnecessary. Once inside the town, Bai Lin stared in shock at the bodies scattered on the ground. Kant Town was known as the graveyard of survivors. How could all these people be dead? Who was responsible? Bai Lin walked to the butcher's shop and saw the bodies strung up. They were all passengers from the plane. Without time to dwell on it, he rushed toward the castle. The castle gate stood open. The leader was nowhere to be seen, and a massive hole had been smashed into the floor. Bai Lin's expression darkened as he jumped down into the pit. The holy water pool was completely dry, and the leader was almost certainly defeated. Damn it! Bai Lin could not hold back a low curse. He searched everywhere and found the secret treasure chest had already been opened. Frustration washed over him. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Who had done this? Tang Yu? Or Yang Chong? Neither of them possessed the strength to pull this off. After racking his brains, The only suspect Bai Lin could think of was Yi Feng. But how could he wipe out the entirety of Kant Town while traveling with 2 women? Infuriatingly, not a single drop of holy water remained. Not daring to linger, Bai Lin immediately fled Kant Town. Elsewhere, Tang Yu arrived at a village where a church stood within its boundaries. Tang Yu's group had grown considerably, numbering more than 20 people. Along the way, the other survivor teams had scattered, fled, or perished, and Tang Yu had recruited all the stragglers. With more people, hunting skeletons became far easier, and nearly everyone now wielded a white-grade weapon. The expansion of the team brought mixed feelings. Song Ran was elated, having become Tang Yu's most favored companion. Chu Yao, however, grew increasingly troubled. She could clearly feel Tang Yu growing arrogant and paying less and less attention to her. He even grew intimate with the flight attendant right in front of her eyes. The timid, accommodating Tang Yu she once knew was gone. Now that he realized he could act without restraint, he saw no reason to hold back. Boss, there seemed to be people ahead. The butcher's son was Tang Yu's most zealous follower, willing to sacrifice even his own wife to curry favor. Tang Yu looked toward the village in the distance and let out a cold snort. Anyone lingering in a place like this can't be trusted. Young master, the village must have food supplies, Old Wang reminded him. With so many people now, provisions were running low. Tang Yu knew this well. He waved his hand. Forward, into the village. The 20-odd people marched into the village as a group. The villagers greeted Tang Yu's party deferentially. An elderly white-haired man walked forward. Noble warriors, welcome to Kant Village. I am the village chief, Buji. Tang Yu looked at the villagers standing behind Buji and smiled. Village chief, do you have food here? Of course. You are all welcome to stay as our guests. That's very kind of you. Are all the villagers gathered here? Tang Yu asked curiously. Buji nodded. Most of us are here. There are still a few. He never finished his sentence. Tang Yu swung his axe straight at Buji's face. The sudden attack stunned both sides. What are you standing around for? Kill them all. All the supplies will be ours. Tang Yu shouted to his men, striking again. Blood splattered across his face, lending him a ferocious look. Chu Yao, standing at the rear, froze. Tang Yu had actually killed someone. Had he lost his mind? The rest of the group immediately grabbed their weapons and charged. If they killed the villagers, all the food would belong to them. Old Wang had no choice but to join the fight. This was a disaster. If they ever returned to normal society, they would all face punishment for murder. Song Ran also rushed forward, stabbing at the villagers with a small blade. The sensation of her knife sinking into flesh made her frantic. She continued striking the fallen bodies repeatedly. Buji had never expected such hostility from the outsiders. Caught completely off guard, the villagers retreated in disarray, unable to grab their weapons in time. In the end, Tang Yu seized control of Kant Village at the cost of 2 dead and 3 wounded from his own team. There are flatbreads here. I found wine. Meet over here, huh? Everyone cheered loudly. Some jumped for joy, others embraced one another. All the suppressed desperation of survival poured out. Holy water. I found holy water. A woman ran out from the church, shouting excitedly. Tang Yu abandoned Song Ran at once and hurried toward the church. Song Ran licked her lips and followed behind him. On the altar in the center of the church sat a basin filled with holy water. The basin was just large enough to fill a bottle for every person present, with a small amount left over. Still, it paled in comparison to the massive holy water pool, and this supply originated from that very pool. Tang Yu called out to the crowd, "Stick with me, and you will have food, safety, and a chance to survive. Boss Tang is mighty. Our leader is mighty. Form a line. Everyone will get their share." The survivors lined up to collect the holy water. Chu Yao waited nervously, and soon it was her turn. Tang Yu deliberately paused and stared straight at her. Chu Yao's heart raced, and she put on a cold expression. "What are you looking at?" Slap. Tang Yu struck her hard across the cheek, knocking her to the ground. Her sunglasses and mask fell away. The surrounding crowd caught sight of her face and let out exclamations. "That's Chu Yao. Wow. The big celebrity." So the rumors about them were real. People whispered among themselves. Song Ran watched Chu Yao with mocking amusement. Good looks meant nothing if you could not read the situation and recognize who held the power. Chu Yao clutched her stinging cheek, her body trembling, unable to stand up. Tang Yu spoke flatly. "Crawl over here." Chu Yao slowly lifted her head, staring at him in disbelief, only to meet his mocking gaze. The more humbly he had catered to her in the past, the crueler his retaliation now. "I won't." "Very well. You can stay here among the skeletons. Next, I'll crawl." Chu Yao cried out almost instinctively. The men around watched on, impressed by how Tang Yu asserted control, even making a famous celebrity submit to his will. Chu Yao gritted her teeth and slowly crawled toward him. Old Wang watched the scene and felt a flicker of relief. His young master had once catered to her every whim. Now that the world had changed, Tang Yu needed to stand his ground and never let this woman dominate him again. Tang Yu looked down as Chu Yao reached his feet. "Beg me." Chu Yao clenched her fists where her hands rested on the ground and whispered, "I beg you." "Beg me for what?" "I beg you to give me holy water." Tang Yu burst into loud laughter. He then crouched down and gripped her chin. "You know how I am. I like to save the best things for last. You'd better behave yourself, girlfriend." Unease surged through Song Ran beside him. Tang Yu still paid attention to Chu Yao. Only once Chu Yao was gone would she be his only companion. "You should learn from Song Ran. Only by making me happy can you stay alive. Do you understand?" Chu Yao's voice trembled. "I understand. That is the proper attitude for my girlfriend. Song Ran, teach her how to treat me well." "Yes." Next, Chu Yao walked out of the church in a daze. The burning pain on her cheek reminded her that Tang Yu would no longer obey her wishes. She had brought this disaster upon herself. "Miss Chu." Song Ran caught up and called out to her. Chu Yao wiped the tears from her eyes. She had never liked Song Ran, who had openly flirted with Tang Yu on the plane. Seeing Chu Yao stay silent, Song Ran let out a soft laugh. "It seems you hold quite a grudge against me. I am only trying to survive." "Still not talking? Then I will have to tell Tang Yu you are refusing to cooperate." "Don't." Chu Yao hastily spoke up. Song Ran's smile faded. "Drop your celebrity airs. Right now you are merely a woman with a pretty face. Without strength, you must rely on others to survive. Take my former roommate, for example. She resisted fiercely at first, yet she ended up following Yi Feng. He once killed someone for 1,000 points. Truly formidable." Chu Yao froze at her words. She recalled seeing Yi Feng kill in the departure lounge. He had even turned down Tang Yu's invitation without a second thought. "I wonder if she's still alive. If she is, she must be doing well." Song Ran's words carried a clear hint, and Chu Yao wavered. She had just suffered humiliation at Tang Yu's hands. For all his ability, Tang Yu could never afford to spend 1,000 points to kill someone. "Enough chatter. Let me share some advice." Chu Yao did not turn away and listened carefully. If she was forced to rely on others for survival, she would choose the strongest person available. At that moment, a group appeared at the village entrance. It was Yang Chong's team. Yang Chong still had a little more than 10 people, including 4 women. Everyone was exhausted after traveling for so long, facing nothing but skeletons the entire time. When they spotted the village, excitement rippled through the group. Where there were people, there would be food. "Move forward." Yang Chong waved his arm. As they neared the village gate, an unnatural silence made them wary. 2 lookouts stood at the entrance, faces familiar to Yang Chong's group. The watchman spotted Yang Chong's party and rushed inside to report. Moments later, Tang Yu led all his men to the village gate. "Well, if it isn't Boss Yang," Tang Yu greeted cheerfully. Yang Chong cursed inwardly. Someone had gotten here first, and Tang Yu's team had grown so large. Yang Chong forced a smile. "Young Master Tang, you've gathered quite a following. My brothers choose to stand with me. Boss Yang, would you consider joining us? We have food, drink, and holy water." The word holy water stirred restlessness among Yang Chong's people. Half a day had passed, and none of them had even laid eyes on holy water. Yang Chong grew alarmed. This wealthy heir was far more shrewd than he seemed. "I appreciate the offer, young Master Tang, but we will keep searching elsewhere," Yang Chong replied. If the 2 teams were evenly matched, he could fight for the village, but Tang Yu held the numerical advantage. Tang Yu shrugged. "Suit yourself. I won't press you to stay." As Yang Chong turned to leave, one of his men stepped forward. "Young Master Tang, can I join you?" "Ha ha ha, you are more than welcome." The man beamed with joy, ignoring the furious glare from Yang Chong's subordinates. "Traitor, if we meet again, I will kill you." One of Yang Chong's followers shouted angrily. Right then, another woman stepped out. "Young Master Tang, can I join too?" "Show me what you can bring to the team," Tang Yu said with a grin, and his men laughed loudly. The woman had not expected such a demand, and she gritted her teeth hesitantly. Whistles echoed around her, and tears welled up in her eyes. Yang Chong watched coldly. The woman was free to leave. She had only consumed supplies without contributing. "Very well, come over," Tang Yu beckoned. The woman walked toward his group, looking miserable. As soon as she reached them, Tang Yu grabbed her arm and pushed her toward his followers. "She's yours to guard." The woman screamed in terror. "No, don't. Boss Yang, help me. I don't want this. Save me." Chu Yao turned her gaze away, unable to bear the sight. These people were utterly ruthless. Yang Chong shot one last look at Tang Yu, committing the face to memory, then led his remaining people away. Tang Yu snorted. He had no desire to fight Yang Chong now. Once his team grew stronger, he would crush him without effort. With food, water, and holy water secured, Tang Yu decided to set up camp and host a barbecue gathering that evening. Everyone began making preparations. Song Ran even got the chance to wash herself, planning to stay by Tang Yu's side that night. Suddenly, the door swung open. Song Ran stared in surprise at Old Wong, standing in the doorway. Old Wong had come to fetch water and was equally startled. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here." He turned to leave, but Song Ran suddenly caught hold of his wrist. The light touch made Old Wong's heart race. He had watched the other survivors indulge freely while he could only stand by and observe. "Brother Wong," Song Ran tugged, pulling the burly Old Wong into the room. In the center of the village, a makeshift stage had been built for entertainment. Meat roasted beside it. Bottles of wine lined up nearby. The woman taken earlier lay motionless on the stage, no longer able to make a sound. "You look strong, but you couldn't keep up. I wouldn't spare a glance for you." "Ha!" The crowd below jeered, including the women. After the bloodshed earlier, they felt no remorse. Old Wong walked over carrying buckets of water. "Young master, we can take this water with us." Tang Yu had drunk a great deal and failed to notice the strange look in Old Wong's eyes. Shortly after, Song Ran walked over, drawing every eye. Though not as stunning as Chu Yao, she had an eye-catching figure. Tang Yu stumbled to his feet, put an arm around Song Ran, and climbed onto the stage. Enough amusement for now. Only then did people notice the woman on the stage had lost her life. No one felt a shred of guilt. Tang Yu put his arm around Song Ran and shouted to the crowd. "Two people deserve recognition for helping us seize Kant Village." Old Wong lifted his head slightly. "The Li brothers." The Li brothers stood up amid cheers from the crowd. "Come up here." The two jumped onto the stage. Tang Yu slung an arm over each of their shoulders. "Introduce yourselves." "Hello everyone. I am the elder brother, Li Dong. I am the younger brother, Li Nan." "Excellent. Once we rebuild civilization, the two of you will be company vice presidents." The brothers quickly expressed their gratitude. "We are honored by your trust, Boss Tang. You earned it. Keep working hard from now on." "We certainly will." The brothers climbed down grinning. Their elderly father watched with tearful eyes, relieved his sons had not abandoned him. After speaking, Tang Yu pulled Song Ran away, leaving the others to continue eating and drinking. "Brother, once we grow powerful, we'll kill Yi Feng," Li Nan said fiercely. He had never forgotten the humiliation Yi Feng dealt him. Li Dong nodded. "We have to bide our time. The moment hasn't come yet." As the brothers talked, Song Ran walked toward them. "Young Master Tang wants to see you." The two nodded and followed her. Song Ran led them into a simple room furnished only with a bed. "Where is young Master Tang?" Song Ran turned to look at the two brothers and discarded her outer coat. The two brothers swallowed hard. "Aren't you curious about what it's like to take something that belongs to young Master Tang?" Song Ran smiled coquettishly. Few could keep their composure in such a situation. Song Ran was determined to make full use of every advantage she had. She was willing to do anything to survive. Elsewhere, Yang Chong and his group huddled around a bonfire. Their supplies of food and water had long run dry. An entire day had passed, and they had found nothing of value. Several men were already filled with regret. If they had known things would turn out like this, they would have sided with young Master Tang. There would have been food, holy water, and safety. Staying with Yang Chong meant enduring constant hardship with no guaranteed rewards. Yang Chong could clearly sense the shifting mood among his followers. If they failed to locate resources soon, the group might abandon him and seek out Tang Yu. Suddenly, figures emerged nearby. Everyone tensed up, expecting to encounter skeletons. When the newcomers drew closer, they saw they were other survivors. There were more than 20 of them. Half bore injuries, and the rest looked dejected and drained. Several women were among the group. They had originally traveled with Huang Qiu, who was nowhere to be seen. Yang Chong stepped forward and asked, "What happened to you all?" One man spoke with a heavy heart. "There's a valley ahead inhabited by the locals. We walked straight into an ambush and lost half our people. We linked up with another survivor group and staged a counterattack, but we were driven back." Yang Chong immediately suspected the valley held holy water. "I'd advise you not to search elsewhere. Tang Yu has seized all the other sources of holy water. The remaining supplies are almost certainly hidden in that valley." Yang Chong's words were partly a ploy. The group fell into stunned silence. "Join my team, and I'll organize a new assault. If we don't get the holy water now, we're all doomed sooner or later." Yang Chong's target was these survivors. With extra manpower, he would stand a chance against Tang Yu. An injured group leader stepped forward. "Brother, I'll trust you this once. We will seize the holy water and board the escape flight on time." Yang Chang's words reignited everyone's greatest hope, boarding the plane. At that moment, Yifeng had already reached the outskirts of the valley. People ahead. Excitement flickered across Yifeng's face. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue behind him also grew alert and energized. Fenggu, there's a lot of blood by the entrance. These scraps of clothing belong to passengers from the plane. Shen Qingqi pointed forward. The walls of Kant Town were built from stone, while this valley was barricaded with timber. The natural terrain made this narrow passage the only way in, and the locals had blocked it off completely. It looks like other survivors tried to break in and were slaughtered. Lin Muxue murmured. Yifeng spotted lingering souls drifting above the ground and absorbed them without hesitation. The sensation was invigorating. The wispy spirits shrank back in terror, yet they were forcibly drawn into Yifeng's body. After absorbing them, Yifeng raised his weapon high. They murdered our fellow survivors. Leave none alive. Charge! Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue shouted in unison, lifting their weapons and rushing forward. A lookout on the wooden watchtower spotted the three charging figures and scoffed, ringing the warning bell at once. Clang! 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 The local leader hurried up to the ramparts, tense at the alarm. When he saw only 3 attackers, he froze for a moment before bursting into laughter. These outsiders are utterly foolish. Dozens couldn't breach our defenses, and now 3 think they can succeed. Archers, ready. Shoot them down. 5 archers drew their bows and aimed at Yifeng's party. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 5 arrows streaked toward them. Yifeng raised a hand and activated his summoning ability. The ground churned violently. 10 2-meter, tall armored skeleton warriors rose to their feet and formed a shield wall before the trio. Arrows slammed against their armor and clattered uselessly to the ground. The men on the wooden ramparts stared in shock. What are these things? Impossible. How can an outsider command creatures of the undead? Stunned by the sight, the skeleton warriors charged and crashed into the wooden gate. Boom. With a single blow, the double gate shattered. The timber rampart collapsed entirely, sending everyone standing atop it tumbling down. The inhabitants inside stared blankly at Yifeng and the skeleton soldiers, too shocked to flee. Yifeng brandished his weapon and roared, "Avenge our dead companions. Spare no one." The skeletons advanced, shields in their left hands and blades in their right, cutting down the locals. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue fought fiercely, their combat prowess far greater than ordinary survivors. Screams echoed through the valley. Yifeng headed for the location marked on his system interface, where the holy water was supposed to be. He had expected a pool of the sacred liquid. Instead, there was only a single bowl of holy water. It was hardly worth the effort of carrying. He left it there. Whoever stumbled upon this place next could claim it. By the time Yifeng walked out of the building, the fighting inside the valley was drawing to an end. Hee, I took down 21 enemies. Shen Qingqi preened, proud of her tally. Lin Muxue said quietly, 32. Nonsense. You're lying. Lin Muxue tossed 32 bone tokens onto the ground, tokens worn by every inhabitant of the valley. Shen Qingqi fell silent, defeated. She could not match Lin Muxue in battle skill. Yifeng smiled, then stretched out his arms. Frightened, drifting souls swarmed toward him and were absorbed. The 2 women also gained a share of the soul energy. A surge of strength washed over them. They gazed at Yifeng with profound gratitude. Without him, they would have long become victims of other survivors. Yifeng opened his status panel. Name: Yifeng race. Human, undead body evolution count. 2 strength, 177 defense, 168 speed, 179 spirit power, 122 evolution genes. Enhanced physique gene, undead gene skills. Advanced undead summoning, soul flame. Name: Shen Qingqi race. Human, undead strength, 44 defense, 41 speed, 49 spirit power, 27. Name: Lin Muxue race. Human, undead strength, 45 defense, 48 speed, 45 spirit power, 24 skill. Healing. The stats were excellent. He had gained a great deal from this battle, and his evolution progress had risen to 67%. From what he could tell, the church was the easiest target to explore, followed by this valley. Kant Town was far too dangerous. Only someone with extraordinary power could hope to survive there. Let's find a place to rest. Yifeng glanced up at the blood moon. He planned to head for the church at dawn. Shen Qingqi shot a challenging look at Lin Muxue, silently vying to stay by Yifeng's side. Lin Muxue sighed softly. The younger girl never missed a chance to compete. 1 hour after Yifeng left the valley, Yang Chang led his group to the valley entrance. Yang Chang suggested climbing over the valley's edge instead of storming the main gate. and everyone agreed to the plan. Brother Yang, the main gate is broken. What? Yang Chong exclaimed in surprise. The group crept closer to the entrance and stared at the shattered wooden gate in disbelief. Could some enormous monster have smashed it open? This timber is sturdy. No ordinary human could break it like this. Yang Chong warned. Everyone stay alert. Let's go inside and investigate. 30 odd survivors stepped into the valley. Corpses littered the ground, and several people gagged at the sight. Many bodies had been hacked brutally. Yang Chong's heart sank. Had someone beaten them to the treasure? Spread out and search for the holy water. Without holy water, their chances of survival were slim. Suddenly, Jiang Fu held up a bowl and shouted, I found it. I've got the holy water. Everyone rushed toward her. Be careful not to spill it. Yang Chong hurried over. We made it. We can survive now. I also found some food supplies. Several survivors teared up. They had watched allies die helplessly through endless hardships. At last, they had found what they needed, though they had no idea who had massacred the valley's inhabitants. Boss Yang, should we still hunt the tribal leader? One subordinate asked. Slaying the leader would reward 3,000 points and a high-grade green item. With that reward, they would be strong enough to overpower Tang Yu. Yang Chong pondered carefully. His group now outnumbered Tang Yu's forces, putting them in a favorable position if they crossed paths again. But the tribal leader sounded like a formidable foe. If they suffered heavy casualties and failed to defeat him, their advantage would vanish. After thinking it over, Yang Chong made his decision. Forget it. Everyone is exhausted. We'll rest for a day and then head back to the waiting area. Fair enough. Getting the holy water was this difficult, so the leader will be even harder to defeat. Boss Yang, do you think Yifeng will try to hunt the leader? Yang Chong was uncertain, yet he suspected it was possible. This mission relies on teamwork. A lone survivor traveling with two women will struggle just to find holy water. Yang Chong chuckled. He guessed Yifeng might not even make it back to the waiting area alive. Yifeng sneezed at that very moment. He settled down to rest with Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue nearby. He slept soundly through the night. Skeleton warriors patrolled the perimeter, so there was no risk of ambush. Yifeng's eyes flew open as dawn neared. He had once dreamed of companions such as these, and now the dream had become reality. After a time, Yifeng lay back with the two women nestled against him, watching the crimson moon hang in the sky. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue traced gentle patterns across his chest with their fingers. Shen Qingqi, are you really a university student? Yifeng asked suddenly. Lin Muxue chimed in teasingly. I have my doubts too. Shen Qingqi huffed immediately. Of course I am. I'm a campus beauty at Jinghua University. Ask anyone there. They'll know me. Oh, a famous beauty. Lin Muxue giggled, growing far more relaxed around him. Yifeng smiled, enjoying their light-hearted bickering. Did you have a boyfriend before? Shen Qingqi pouted. Fengge, you already know the answer. That's a separate matter. Maybe your relationship hadn't gotten serious. Shen Qingqi's lips parted in a quiet sigh. You're surprisingly perceptive. It wasn't official. I met a dishonest man, so I went traveling to clear my head. Did you kiss him? Lin Muxue asked out of curiosity. Shen Qingqi lunged at her. Why would you ask that? I'll get you back. Stop, that tickles. The two girls tussled playfully. Lin Muxue, you're beautiful and work as a flight attendant. Were you hoping to find a wealthy partner? Shen Qingqi shot back. Yifeng turned to Lin Muxue, curious about her answer. Lin Muxue did not avoid the question, smiling openly. I won't deny it. Both Yifeng and Shen Qingqi expected her to argue, shocked by her honesty. But rich men usually keep other partners. I'm not foolish enough to settle for that. Lin Muxue said calmly. Shen Qingqi pressed on. Weren't there any rich young men chasing you? They only wanted casual fun. Yifeng asked. What kind of person were you hoping to meet? Someone like you, Fengge. Shen Qingqi shuddered. You look so gentle and pure, yet you drop such cheesy lines without warning. I wouldn't turn down wealth, naturally, but suitable men are hard to come by. How many people pursued you? Shen Qingqi asked. About a dozen. Shen Qingqi looked skeptical. You're exaggerating. I could say 20 chased me. The competition between them never ceased. Yifeng shook his head and listened to their chatter as he lay on the grass. Eventually, they calmed down. Fengge, tell us about yourself. Shen Qingqi urged. She wanted to learn more about him. Lin Muxue was equally curious but hesitated to speak up, afraid of upsetting him. Yifeng blinked. There's not much to say about me. Please tell us. Shen Qingqi clasped her hands and made a cute plea. Lin Muxue copied her gesture, looking even more endearing, much to Shen Qingqi's annoyance. Yifeng sat up and shrugged. All right, I give up. Great. Yifeng plucked a blade of grass and twirled it between his fingers, letting out a weary sigh. His tone turned somber. I don't have glamorous stories like you two. I graduated from an ordinary university and moved to Guangzhou for work. Every day was nothing but commuting and overtime. Looking back, that life felt empty and meaningless. Shin Qingqi and Lin Muxue grew eager to hear about his past relationships. Lin Muxue asked softly, "Never had a girlfriend? Feng Ge is handsome. Plenty of women must have liked you." Shin Qingqi flattered him. Yi Feng sighed. "I dated someone in university, but we split up after graduation." "Why?" The two women spoke in unison. Yi Feng lightly tapped each of them on the shoulder, and they looked up at him innocently. She had opportunities for a better life. I wasn't going to stand in her way. Neither pressed him further. They assumed the woman had left him for someone more successful. She must regret her choice now. "Did you date anyone after that?" Lin Muxue asked. "A few years ago, I met a woman through blind dating. She was a local and owned a house and car." Shin Qingqi gasped. "Feng Ge, impressive." "Hardly impressive. Her family looked down on my background. Ending it freed me from that pressure." Lin Muxue felt sympathy for him. His romantic history was full of disappointment. Shin Qingqi patted her chest firmly. "Feng Ge, you can trust me. I'm devoted, and I only want to stay with you." Lin Muxue nearly choked on her laughter. Yi Feng smiled at her bold declaration. He checked the remaining survival time and stood up. "We still have roughly 10 hours left. Let's visit one more location before returning to the waiting area." Shin Qingqi and Lin Muxue each kissed him on the cheek, silently conveying their loyalty. Those who had overlooked him in the past did not know what they had lost, but they valued him deeply. Yi Feng's mood lightened. The heartfelt conversation had deepened their bond. They were no longer just surviving alongside each other. They intended to survive together. 2 hours later, Yi Feng arrived at Kant Village. Tang Yu's group had already departed, leaving scattered abandoned belongings. It seems someone wiped out this village. Either young Master Tang or Yang Chong. Lin Muxue scanned the surroundings. Shin Qingqi suddenly cried out. "Feng Ge, look over here." "It's horrifying." Yi Feng and Lin Muxue walked forward. A woman's lifeless body lay on display, her eyes wide open. A wooden stake pierced through her mouth. Yi Feng frowned at the cruel sight. "Let's leave," Yi Feng said flatly. There were no more resources worth collecting. They could head back to the waiting area. They still had 2 to 3 hours remaining once they returned. In this harsh realm, the greatest danger was not vicious beasts, but human greed and conflict. At the same time, Chu Yao traveled back with Tang Yu's group. Fear not at her. Once they boarded the escape plane, she would be at the mercy of the cruel Tang Yu. The terrible scenes she had witnessed replayed in her mind, sending chills down her spine. Tang Yu was barely human. He had even suggested burning the body of a dead survivor. Worse still, the other men had cheered along with him. Everyone around her seemed cold, hearted, and ruthless. She could not stop imagining herself bound and helpless. Terror surged through her. "What are you thinking about?" Tang Yu's voice suddenly cut through her thoughts. His tone sounded gentle as always. And Chu Yao nearly burst into tears from fright. I wasn't thinking about anything," Tang Yu smiled softly. "That's wise. Stay obedient, and I will ensure you live. Otherwise, that woman's fate will become yours." Chu Yao broke down and wept. Soon, Tang Yu's party reached the outside of the waiting area. For gaunt, exhausted survivors stood nearby. They had never dared venture far from the waiting area, paralyzed by fear. They hoped other groups would take pity on them. When they saw Tang Yu's well-nourished team return, they hurried over. "Sir, you must have found holy water. Could you spare some? My wife and I will work tirelessly to repay you." Tang Yu let out a cold laugh and kicked the man to the ground. "You don't even deserve the chance to serve me." Humiliated, the man crawled forward and clung to Tang Yu's leg. "Sir, what about my wife? She was the most beautiful woman in her workplace. We still have time. Let her keep you company, please." His wife knelt beside him and kowtowed repeatedly. Tang Yu's followers roared with laughter. These cowards hid indoors and dared not explore, yet they expected charity. "Does anyone here want this man's wife?" Tang Yu called out. "No way." Everyone laughed loudly. The man trembled on his knees. Tang Yu pressed his boot against the back of the man's head. "Friend, it's not that I refuse to help. No one wants her. She looks as haggard as a 60-year-old woman." He then pulled Chu Yao forward, gripping the nape of her neck and sliding her mask off. "Take a look. This is what a beautiful woman looks like. Delicate features, smooth skin, long legs." Chu Yao's eyes widened as tears streamed down her face. The man stared at her terrified expression. Song Ran smirked to herself. Chu Yao possessed stunning looks, yet failed to use them to her advantage. If she had such beauty, she would have sought out Yi Feng's support, though she wondered if Yi Feng was already dead or unable to complete his objectives. "Young Master Tang, A voice echoed. Tang Yu turned, ready to strike a confident pose. His expression hardened when he saw Yang Chong approaching with more than 30 people. He released Chu Yao. Chu Yao finally understood. She was merely a possession Tang Yu could manipulate freely, never his partner. If it isn't Boss Yang. Tang Yu smiled. His men raised their weapons. The Li brothers watched the opposing group warily. Song Ran spotted Jiang Fu among Yang Chong's people, surprised the woman was still alive. Jiang Fu met her gaze steadily. She had fought skeletons before and faced Song Ran with unyielding resolve. Does young Master Tang enjoy bullying the weak? Yang Chong smiled, yet his tone carried hostility. He sought to assert his authority. Tang Yu liked to show off only in front of weaker opponents. Faced with a formidable rival, he adjusted his approach. Neither side truly wanted to start a deadly fight. Yang Chong mainly wanted to vent his anger and make a show of strength. Tang Yu chuckled and kicked the man on the ground again. Boss Yang is so compassionate. Why don't you give him some holy water? The fallen man scrambled toward Yang Chong, grasping at his last hope. Boss Yang, save us. Please, be warned. These two never strayed far from the waiting area. They only waited for others to hand them supplies. Yang Chong considered taking them in. He still held reserves of holy water that could be traded for supplies. Recruiting loyal followers was tempting, but if they lacked the courage to leave safety, they would never be reliable. Boss Yang, next time we will go out with you. We won't hide anymore. The man slammed his forehead against the ground until blood trickled. Seeing Yang Chong remain silent, he dragged his wife down and forced her to kowtow alongside him. Our lives belong to you from now on, Boss Yang. Then the man wearing glasses behind Yang Chong spoke. Kill your wife. As these words fell, everyone froze. No one voiced opposition. They simply watched the man to see what choice he would make. The husband's lips trembled, his body shaking uncontrollably as his gaze slowly turned toward his wife beside him. This is my wife. I can't kill her. I can't. No. Her hair was matted, her skin sallow, making her look haggard and worn. As long as I stay alive, there will be other women. I could even have someone as striking as the woman they saw earlier. A grim smile tugged at the husband's mouth. His eyes grew wild, as if trapped in a delirium. He shoved his wife onto the ground and wrapped his hands around her neck. Die? Just die? I want to live. The husband looked savage and unhinged, veins bulging on his forearms as he squeezed her fragile neck relentlessly. The wife offered no resistance. She merely met his gaze calmly, waiting for death. The man paused. Suddenly he roared in madness. Fight back. I'm trying to kill you. Grab me. Hit me. I'm the one who pushed you into hardship. I was the coward who made you stay beside me. The weak wife lifted a hand and rested it against her husband's cheek. I love you. Right after speaking, she lightly slapped his face. The blow was soft, yet it struck home. As if he had found an excuse, the husband tightened his grip once more and did not let go. It was not until the wife stopped breathing. Tears and snot streamed down the man's face as he alternated between hysterical weeping and wild laughter. The crowd fell deathly quiet at the sight. Each person's breathing grew heavy. It had only been a short while, yet everyone seemed changed. Deaths such as this were starting to feel disturbingly ordinary. Abruptly, the man twisted his head toward Tang Yu and charged at him like a madman, intent on dragging Tang Yu down with him. Tang Yu watched with a cold sneer. Old Wang standing behind him raised his blade without hesitation. The man's head rolled across the ground, coming to a stop with his eyes facing his wife's lifeless body. TCH, worthless trash. Tang Yu spat on the ground. No one could tell whether he was insulting the spineless husband or the hypocritical Yang Chong. Hey, who are you calling trash? One of Yang Chong's subordinates was not willing to let the remark slide. He had suffered humiliation at Tang Yu's hands before. Now that their group outnumbered the others, he thought they might as well start a fight. Following his shout, more people began hurling insults. Jiang Fu kept a sharp eye on Song Ran. If fighting broke out, Song Ran would undoubtedly be their first target. Song Ran was terrified, but she still held on to her trump cards. Tang Yu's group shouted retorts in return. The two sides drew closer, only a hair's breadth away from violence. At this critical moment, three figures appeared far down the road. Someone shouted, "It's Yi Feng. He's back." Instantly, all shouting died away. Every pair of eyes turned toward the newcomers. Beneath the crimson moon, the figure in the center strode forward with an easy gait. The two people flanking him had slender builds, and people initially took them for women. Yet they wielded enormous weapons. The stark contrast made everyone certain it was Yi Feng and his companions. When the three stopped 10 meters away, there was no longer any doubt. It really was Yi Feng. Tang Yu and Yang Chong stared in disbelief. He had returned with two women? How had he managed that? Song Ran looked at the transformed Lin Muxue, a surge of bitterness rising inside her. How could she lift such a heavy weapon? Moreover, the weapon looked far superior to anything anyone else possessed. Unlike Song Ran's jealousy, Zhang Fu was genuinely happy for Lin Muxue. At least she would no longer be manipulated by Song Ran. Yi Feng stood tall, hands tucked into his pockets, a cigarette hanging loosely from his lips. Smoke curled upward, framing his cold, piercing eyes. Beside him, Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue were no longer the timid women who used to trail obediently after Yi Feng. A sharp, imposing aura radiated from them. Anyone who dared speak disrespectfully would end up beneath their blades. As Yi Feng advanced, the crowd on both sides automatically parted to clear a path down the middle. Not a single person dared utter a word. No one wanted to provoke a man who would spend 1,000 points to take a life. Yi Feng's expression remained calm, as if none of the people present mattered to him. When he passed Tang Yu and Yang Chong, he did not spare them even a glance from the corner of his eye. Tang Yu and Yang Chong both felt the weight of that disregard, a blatant contempt, as if Yi Feng could not be bothered to acknowledge their existence. Yang Chong believed he commanded the strongest faction among the plane survivors. If he fought Tang Yu, he would definitely win. But now that Yi Feng had returned, Yang Chong was no longer confident he held the upper hand. Yi Feng was nothing like the wealthy young man Tang Yu was. He kept to himself, never built up a large gang. People thought his only weakness was an attraction to beautiful women. He appeared to be around 30 years old, with scheming deeper than Yang Chong's own. Tang Yu seethed with rage. He was always the center of attention. Everyone looked at him with awe and fear. What was this? Did Yi Feng think looking at him would sully his eyes? Furious as Tang Yu was inside, he dared not make any hostile move. Arrogant as he was, Tang Yu was not foolish. If Yi Feng could bring the two women back safely with the holy water, he was far more dangerous than he seemed. Still, when his gaze fell on Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue, Tang Yu was overcome with longing. Their faces remained the same, yet their bearing had completely transformed. They were true beauties, unlike Chu Yao, who possessed only looks and no proud spirit. Chu Yao watched Yi Feng. She could see the difference clearly. Yi Feng faced everything with unshakable indifference, while Tang Yu boiled with suppressed anger. It was plain to see who held the real power and who was merely putting on a front. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue were secretly elated. Once, all the gazes directed at them had been filled with greedy covetousness. Now, those looks held fear. People were afraid of them. They were no longer vulnerable women anyone could bully. Song Ran clenched her fists so tightly her fingernails dug into her palms. The physical pain paled in comparison to the agony in her heart. If only she had been born more attractive, she could be the one standing beside Yi Feng, the focus of everyone's eyes. Just look at Lin Muxue. She must have planned this all along. She was nothing but a liar for claiming she wanted to help Song Ran. Suddenly, Yi Feng halted and glanced over his shoulder. Tang Yu's heart skipped a beat. He felt as though he was facing a superior judging him from above. Shouldn't you apologize for what you did before? Yi Feng spoke in an even tone, leaving no room for argument. Shen Qingqi and Lin Muxue understood Yi Feng's intent immediately, tightening their grips on their weapons. If Tang Yu resisted, he would lose his head. A heavy pressure weighed down on Tang Yu, all eyes fixed on him, waiting for his response. Someone in the crowd murmured that it was karma to see Tang Yu, who had bullied so many, now facing intimidation himself. Yang Chong secretly hoped Tang Yu would put up a fight. If Tang Yu died, Yang Chong would lose his greatest rival. As long as he avoided crossing Yi Feng, everything would stay peaceful. I'm sorry. No one expected Tang Yu to actually apologize. Even Old Wang was stunned. The young master had never apologized to anyone before. Faced with the threat of death, he was willing to swallow his pride. Yang Chong sighed in disappointment. The rich heir had backed down. Inside, Tang Yu's emotions raged. He swore revenge. No one had ever forced Tang Yu to apologize, and no one ever would. Chu Yao stared at Yi Feng's back, seemingly plotting something. After Tang Yu apologized, Yi Feng shifted his gaze toward the Li brothers. Li Dong and Li Nan dropped to their knees at once. We're sorry. They pressed their foreheads hard against the ground until blood trickled from their wounds. If even Tang Yu had apologized, the two second-in commands dared not refuse. At that moment, Chu Yao made a move to rush out from the crowd. Tang Yu reacted instantly and grabbed her by the hair. Already infuriated by Yi Feng, he flew into a rage when he saw his woman trying to run away. He raised his hand and struck her delicate cheek hard. Song Ran was secretly thrilled. If the famous actress stirred up trouble, Tang Yu might provoke Yi Feng, and Yi Feng could kill Tang Yu. The sound of the slap echoed across the open space. Yi Feng heard it. Yet he did not turn his head and kept walking forward. Chu Yao's cheek burned. Panicked, she tried to call out, but Tang Yu clamped a hand over her mouth and drove a fist into her abdomen. Pain washed over Chu Yao. Her face paled, and she doubled over, cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. Bitch, you'll learn what happens when you betray me. Tang Yu glared at her savagely, already thinking of harsh punishments for her. Frightened by the malice in his eyes, Chu Yao wanted nothing more than to escape. Compared to Yi Feng, Tang Yu was nothing but a ruthless brute. Song Ran groaned inwardly. The actress had missed her chance. She should have shouted first before trying to run. She deserved the beating. The waiting hall doors remained locked, so the crowd scattered to wait separately. Feng Ge, these people somehow found meat and brought it back. Shen Qingqi glanced toward Tang Yu's group, noticing Yang Chang's side had similar supplies. Lin Muxua shuddered abruptly. That meat couldn't possibly be. Yi Feng, who had been eating, froze briefly. Don't put such disgusting thoughts into words. Still, it's very possible. Shen Qingqi said earnestly, a mischievous glint in her eyes. She patted dust off her trousers and strode toward Tang Yu's group. Yi Feng did not stop her, watching her with amusement. Tang Yu's people were still talking among themselves. Li Dong's father could not accept the situation. How is he able to return? That mission cannot be completed alone. Could he have cheated somehow? Father, keep your voice down. Li Dong frowned. If it were not for him, their family would never have crossed Yi Feng. Li Nan snorted. He must have gotten lucky. There's no other explanation. Yi Feng's woman is coming. Someone warned suddenly. The 24 people fell silent as Shen Qingqi approached. Tang Yu shot a cold look at Chu Yao. She had been tied up and gagged, only able to make muffled noises. What do you want? Tang Yu stood up, alert. Old Wang rested a hand on his weapon at his side. Shen Qingqi savored the moment, enjoying this game of cat and mouse. We passed through an area and saw something horrific. Another group reached the place before us. They were cut to pieces, and the whole settlement was eating. Tang Yu's companions stared in shock. Shen Qingqi clicked her tongue. Think about it. This region is covered in skeletons. Where would fresh meat come from? There aren't even any animals around. Ugh. One man vomited instantly. It triggered a chain reaction, and soon everyone was retching. Manager Yang, what's happening over there? Did they eat something poisonous? They're all throwing up. Yang Chang knitted his brows and watched from afar. Then someone shouted news across the open ground. Once the words sank in, everyone's faces turned pale. Damn, those people are revolting. No wonder all the bodies vanished. We're all starving. At a time like this, who cares what meat it is? Jiang Fu's stomach churned violently, and she doubled over vomiting until she could bring up nothing more. Shen Qingqi skipped happily back toward Yi Feng and Lin Muxua, proudly showing off, as if she had won a great victory. Feng Ge, help me. A cry for help drew every eye back to Tang Yu's group. Tang Yu's face had turned livid. Chu Yao had somehow removed the gag from her mouth.